am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Doors. Prepare for Prattle.
Welcome to PrattleWorld. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan. And in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to the 100th episode, Cel-Webration. And this has a very special guest. I am JACS Musings. So Spider-Dan today is face-to-face with what I like to think of as my biggest fan. Some other people may argue, but JACS Musings, I believe, to be my biggest fan, as I've never met Jack until this very moment. We have never been face-to-face. This is over Zoom, but this still counts to me. And welcome, Jack, finally to the show. After 100 episodes, you are here. What do you have to say for yourself?
I have to say that it's a pleasure. Thank you, sir, for a lovely introduction as well.
You're a star. You're an absolute star, sir.
Well, I mean, I've enjoyed the ride. It's been excellent. Obviously, don't want to get into too much before we start working our way through our topics for the evening. But yeah, I feel like I've been there for the long haul. I've been there for the ride from the roller coaster ride from the green light up until the 100th episode. So yeah, it's been great fun. I've really enjoyed listening to all your shows and seeing the evolution of your kind of presentation style and what you're aiming to do with the podcast. So it's a real honor to be here on number 100.
It certainly is. And it's very special for me as well to have somebody who's always commenting, always retweeting, always sharing, always listening. It's amazing because I don't know. I mean, I've got a few people that follow, but I don't know how many listen to like every episode. And I'm pretty sure you're the only person I know that listens to every single episode, regardless of what it's about, what the topic is, whether it's something you've never heard of, whether it's something that's unpopular, you're always there and you've always got something positive to say or a great insight into anything. Even if you don't know about it, you're like, you know what? I'll give it a go. Let's see what this is. And I think that's what my show is all about. I want to introduce people to new things, get them to try stuff. And that's one of the wondrous things about podcasts for me, is the way I can reach people, as far away as you, as far away as many of the other countries that people listen in, India, Canada, all over the world. It's amazing to me that one, people listen, and two, they listen, consistently and as far away as that. And, they take that in and they think about it and then they come back as well. And it's amazing. We were talking a little bit earlier before about how the podcast started and how you found it. And I have to kind of say, I have to tip my hat to my friend Dan Keatis, who is kind of an inspiration to me because he kind of introduced me to the world of podcasting via Nerdify, which was a podcast we had way back now. Dearly departed, very dearly missed as well by other kind of the people on Twitter we have, like the Nerds Chatting, Jack and the Geeks Talk, all those guys who were also really supportive of me when I started out, kind of looked at my kind of the episodes and my music and stuff and kind of helped me with everything, because I knew nothing. Like I'm not a guy who knows audio. I'm not a guy who this was a whole new world to me, but I thought I'd give it a go. And I kind of adopted a lot of the people that Dan had on his Twitter because I thought they might be interested. I'm pretty sure I adopted you as well. And I think that's probably how you found the podcast, from me kind of sharing and retweeting. So when you did find the podcast, how did you find it? Was it, because I think those first 3 episodes are a bit rough. They are a little rough for me, listening back and going, okay, yeah, they're not great. Like the sound quality, because I've become a bit of an audio snob as time's gone on as well. Like the more money I've spent on it and the more I've refined my audio skills, looking back and I just go, oh, that's really tough on the ears to listen to that.
Yeah.
How did you find it? How did you find it going on? Do you think was it like, oh, this isn't so great, but maybe he'll develop his skills? Or
I think the process you're talking about is probably true for all podcasts, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, obviously, if I'm honest, I haven't gone back and listened to your first 3 episodes in the build up to tonight. I haven't listened to some, as I said to you before, but I perhaps didn't go back that far. And I think it's only natural, isn't it? We're all perfectionists to an extent, and we all want to do the best job that we can. And that was the best job you could do at that point. It was a learning process, wasn't it? We've got to do it a little bit wrong. A mantra I have when I teach in my daily job, you've got to do it wrong before you can do it right. You just happen to be recording yourself for posterity for all time, for us all to hear. It being not wrong, but not quite right yet.
No, I was inspired by the fellow kind of podcasters who have they have many different sections and many different kind of stuff going on. Like they'll have a news section, they'll have a main review section, they'll have a listener comments section, like all this sort of stuff. And I was trying to be, I think, a little too much like that, because I tend to prattle on as it is PrattleWorld, and that was my main issue, is that I couldn't fit it in at the time. So that's why I kind of simplified everything. I just went, right, this is the topic, this is the one topic, and we're just gonna go and we're gonna talk till we're absolutely exhausted, nothing left to say, and then we'll call it a day. I had very little money when I started off as well, so I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a laptop, didn't have a computer, didn't have anything else that I really did need at the time. But I had an iPad, and I had a few other bits and pieces. So I found an app called, I think it was called Hokusai. It was a Japanese audio editing app that I found, which is still available, I think. And I was editing through that, and I had not a USB mic, but a one with a jack, funnily enough. And I would just plug in and record through that. And it wasn't the best quality. It wasn't the best. There was certain things I could do with it, but it wasn't the ideal way to edit. Or also, if the iPad, if it was processing the recording, it would, if the iPad went to a screensaver or faded to black, or whatever you want to call it, that would destroy the recording.
Right.
Which depressed me a lot of the time when that happened.
Yeah.
I was like, I've spent an hour and a half on this, and now it's gone. I was so excited. I watched Suspiria, the Dario Argento Suspiria, for the very first time. Loved it. Spent an hour and a half talking about it, and that is now gone. That's an hour and a half I'll never get back. But I was so blown away by it. I'm so amazed by it. Maybe I'll come back to Suspiria, I don't know. But at the time, I was so gutted. I don't think I did another recording for about 2 months, 3 months, or something like that. But yeah, over time, it has my main bugaboo is technology. I've never had issue. I'm so creative. I've never had an issue coming up with content. I've never had an issue with that, but I've always had an issue with the technology, and technology always seems to fail me just when I need it. Like in Malta, there was several interviews I did. I interviewed oh god, what was her name? Forget it. But she was in The Crow, and she was in a few other big movies. She did Playboy and all sorts of stuff. We had a very weird interview. It was brilliant and bizarre, but my machine died, and my audio interface died, and I lost that recording as well. So that's the most heartbreaking stuff, is when it's just gone.
I bet.
And there's nothing to do. I'm in the process of currently backing up all my episodes as well, because Andy from Angry Andy Reviews, as you are very familiar with, he accidentally deleted a lot of his episodes the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I saw him tweet about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was proper gutted, and I was like, I need to back these up just in case something like that happens to me, because I know that, just like the Parker look, I've got the Brazier look, so it will go wrong eventually. So yeah, so I'm currently in the process of doing that. But yeah, for me, it's a technical thing for me, which is the main problem. again, I come from a performance background. I come from an acting background, so I come from a creative background, which I think helps coming up with ideas for the show and delivering, being entertaining, being having a laugh, telling jokes and stuff. I think that comes to me fairly naturally. But I've spent most of today editing and processing videos and the audio, and that just takes me forever. And my mouse pad broke today, and I was like, oh, this is all brilliant. I'm supposed to record my 100th episode tonight. Why? But yeah, but it has evolved, and I have spent a lot of money. And I do recommend, if you are going to start your podcast, to spend, if you're going to do it properly. I mean, loads of people record, like, podcasts are so varied in the ways you can have them. Some people record them when they're running. Some people will do it on the train. They'll just have a little clip-on mic, or they'll have a big mic, an XLR mic like I've got, and an audio interface. They might just record off their phone or tablet. There's so many different ways and so many ways you can produce. You can do whole sketches and things. So it depends what you want to do, but I personally would recommend, like, saving up some money before you start and buying some, and do your research and see what technology you might need. I would also recommend Audacity as well if you start off editing audio. That's basically it's free, and it's not that user friendly, but there's so many YouTube videos on it, you won't struggle. But you have started your very own podcast recently.
Indeed, I have the easy part though. I just have to turn up and talk. So all the technical side is taken care of for me. The very kind guys over at Comics in Motion invited me to join their little kind of family, because I'd appeared on a couple of the podcasts there, as I know you have as well in recent months.
I have.
So our paths have been crossing all over the place until we finally managed to organise tonight. So that's been really enjoyable. I do need to learn. I'm really excited to get into the more technical side. I'm probably more that minded than I am performance minded. So the actual talking part is the harder part for me. I'm a little bit introverted in life, I think, anyway, normally. I have been listening back to myself, which I thought would be cringeworthy, but it's been all right. But mostly because it's been a real learning experience for me. So from my first appearance on with Tony on his Indie Comic Spotlight through Max, and and now my own show with Tony, Season's Greetings, where we're looking at Buffy at the moment, season by season. We've got a very special guest coming up soon for season 3. I think his name might be Dan. I think, I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm honoured to be on yours, and I hope you're honoured to be on mine. So
yeah, it's great. It's a bit like the Star Wars universe, isn't it? It could be expansive. That you could go anywhere you want in the galaxy, but you always seem to be drawn back to the same kind of places and the same people. So yeah, I'm enjoying that, and I think I've learned a lot from you. I think you have found your voice now, definitely. I really like what you said there about the idea of like, you weren't imitating, but you were taking ideas, as you said, from what was around you. But I think where you've ended up now is definitely where you live. It's where it works for you. I don't think you need any of the garnish.
No, and I think I'm always very much like kind of Occam's razor. I'm like, let's keep it simple, let's keep it straightforward, and let's just do what we do best. I also like I like the randomness of my channel. It's like, you don't know what you're going to get one week. Like the podcast that's coming out this week was not planned, but it's what you'll get.
Yeah.
But it's still good stuff, still quality stuff. I like the varied voices I bring as well to it. I don't want to just kind of keep. It was just me and Dennis. As much as I love Dennis, Dennis also said, "Please mention me on this podcast. I need to be mentioned." I need you to talk about me, even though I'm not there. I need to be mentioned. I'm like, yeah. My favorite episodes are with you, Dennis. My favorite guest is you, Dennis. All that sort of stuff. Yeah, we've talked about you, Dennis. So we'll put you.
Don't worry, Dennis. I'm going to talk about you as well.
Oh well, let's hope it's good. Let's hope it's good. But yeah, I try and bring people like. Luckily, like most of these people are my friends. Like I don't tend to have a lot of kind of celebrities and stuff. I mean, I've spoken to some great people like Al Ewing, and some the WrestleTopia guys were really cool as well. Some like proper professionals, top of their game. Like who knew that, when I started this in 2018, so it's almost been 4 years, that I would be speaking, interviewing the biggest name, one of the biggest names in comics, if not the biggest name at Marvel, the biggest writer at Marvel, would be on my show. And I would be on a bus with him in Malta, and we're joking about how the Venga Boys would be a great political party for the UK. Oh, who knew?
Certainly couldn't be any worse.
So you are right, sir. You are right. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun, and it's taken a lot of time to develop. But at the moment, I'm really comfortable with the audio quality. I'm really comfortable with Zoom now, because that was another fucking technical hurdle I have to overcome. And those early episodes on Zoom are not the best for audio, and that's just the way they are. But again, we've learned, like you said, we've got to do it wrong to do it right, and certainly have. So now I feel comfortable recording Zooms and recording in person when I can, when possible. But yeah, no, I feel like the show has come along leaps and bounds, and you can see as well by the amount of people now that are, coming to us with, all sorts of information about how much they love it. All the reviews are coming in, and I feel humbled and I feel blessed, because I didn't expect this kind of stuff, and you especially have been a real, like, if the days that I'm feeling a bit low, or I'm like, I can't really be bothered, or, I'm just like, I just don't want to record today. I'll think, yeah, but Jack's there. I'll be like, Jack is waiting, and he needs something. He needs content.
It's true.
And
I do need it.
And that'll pick me up. And, and if I can't be with somebody, I'll find a way to do something else. I'll find another guest, or I'll rejig. That's often why I don't kind of announce things, because I feel like if I announce stuff that's coming, if I can't do it for whatever reason, illness or technology or whatever, I'm going to let those people down, let you down, let everybody down. But no, like, you guys are going to keep coming back, and I know you're there, because you're never. I'm going to hold on to you for dear life, Jack. You're not going anywhere.
There'll always be one download at least.
Yes, and that's all I need. That's all I need. Like, I'm not one of these people that's obsessed with I want it to be accessible to as many people as possible. But I'm not like gonna. I'm not going to be like, I've not got enough likes on my post. I'm not one of these people. I will, if somebody decides they don't want to, contribute on Patreon, it's not going to break my heart. I'll go, fair enough, So yeah, and it's been a heck of a ride. I never thought I would have got to 100 episodes so soon. I never thought I'd get to 100 episodes full stop. But it's for people like you, and like, as much as this is like me patting myself on the back, it's kind of also me just saying a big thank you to everybody who listens, and everyone who's been on the show and continues to listen, and everyone who's been involved. It's been an amazing journey, and I've no signs of stopping. No,
good. I imagine you've got a very strong core fan base now that wouldn't ever go, and I'm sure there's many more people like me who are sitting there, looking forward to the next random episode, because that's what we want from you, not expect what we want, like this. I think that's exactly what I come to you for, probably much like yourself. I listen to quite a few podcasts, and they give me that, but what you give me is a wider world of things I'd never even contemplated, or I've not thought about for a very long time, thinking to your recent episode on the Ewok movies.
Wow, yes.
Yeah, so yeah, long may it continue, as you just said.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're rolling along quite smoothly now. So I think, again, like I've thanked everybody. I think I need to thank for the moment. Also, TD Velasquez at And Now the Podcast Starts, a guy I've had on, and I've been on his podcast as well. He kind of helped when I was guesting on his podcast. It kind of inspired me again to get started on my own. So I have to thank him as well. Excellent guy, very nice as well. And I'll have him back on soon as well. Yeah, another thing I wanted to mention is, this helps me with kind of my mental health and balancing me out, but I have a lot of guests as well that struggle with mental health problems as well. And this show can often give them a distraction from whatever they're going through. It gives the listeners a distraction sometimes as well, because it's not been the greatest of year for me or for anybody else out there, in regards to anything and everything. But I have so many people that come away and go, I really needed that. Thank you for taking my mind off it. Or, oh my God, I can't believe I talked for a whole hour and a half about, some fucking shit movie. So it is a gift, like to do this, and it is a gift to have all that goodwill come back to me as well. And I do feel it kind of tenfold. So it's wonderful that just me, prattling on is so helpful to others, and it's helpful to me and so many others. So it's a brilliant thing, and I couldn't recommend people getting involved in podcasting more. Like, if you've got something you want to talk about, something you know about, or if you want to perform something, you've got writing, you've got music. Go out and do it. I recommend it. It's once you get your head around it, it's good. But again, there are services you can pay for. I currently pay for a service called Alitu. So that's ALITU, and it is a website where you can edit your podcast on. However, they take care of all the sound stuff. So if you're not very good with sound, or like me, sound engineering, sound technician stuff, they will do it for you. You just cut out what you don't want, and they'll do the rest. So simple, so easy. Find a good host, and then you're off and running. That's all you need, really. A microphone, a host, and then just an editing software. That's all you need, and you're away. So please go out and do it. Please be inspired to do this. If it's not me inspiring you, hopefully somebody else has inspired you. Or if you have an idea, if you've got a great idea or a take, bring it to us. Or if you've got an opinion that you want out there, definitely give it. Anyway, moving on. So I wanted to just quickly go over some facts and figures about the podcast. Do you want to hazard a guess how many downloads we've had at this time of recording? Oh. At the time of recording, this is March 9th. This is not going to be out till May for reasons, but we'll get into that later. How many downloads do you think there's been?
Crikey. In total?
Total of all time. Of whole time?
50,000.
50,000. I wish.
Okay, well, I just did a quick, not in my head, not at all, but I went to my calculator apps. I thought, roughly 700 per. Well, I guess per episode is unfair. Maybe it's 700 now. The place you're at now, I don't know.
So it is in fact 8,148 downloads for all time.
All these people are missing out. Where are those other 48,000 people? What are they doing with their lives?
Foolish. They're probably listening to Kevin Smith or Chris Jericho or someone like that. Come and listen to me.
Everyone listens to them.
Yeah, it's popular. Do what's unpopular. This is what my show's about. Unpopular stuff. I'm unpopular. Come and listen to me.
Live on the fringe. It's much more interesting.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's amazing. That only just went over very recently. I only just announced 7,000. So that's happened in a very short amount of time.
Fair enough.
So
this is why I don't teach maths.
Oh, don't worry. My math skills are pretty poor as well. Piss poor math skills. What do you think are the top 5 episodes?
Oh, that's interesting.
Most downloaded episodes. It's a very eclectic mix. It's probably the ones.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, it's probably ones you don't think.
So assume something where you have had one of these guests on, where it's a name you would think would feature there. So maybe one of your comics or a couple of your comic interviews.
No.
From Walter perhaps would appear.
No, in fact.
Twilight.
Oh, close. It was in the top 10.
Just because of obviously its status out in the world. Is the Denny O'Neill one?
I think again that was sort of in the top 10 or just outside the top 10, I believe. I'll tell you because you won't guess.
Yeah, I'm stumped.
You will not guess. So shall I go from number 5 upwards?
That makes sense.
So number 5 is the top 5 comic book video games with Scott Hodgson.
Okay, yeah.
Then we have The Host. So Bong Joon-ho's The Host with Matt Campbell.
Did that come out around the time of Parasite?
It did, yeah.
Did it? Oh, it did. Okay.
Well, I released it. I released it in time for Parasite, but his film came out in 2006. Meek's Cutoff, which I'll talk about a little bit later with Hannah Hobley and Nathan Smith. That was number 3. That's surprising to me as well.
Yeah.
And the last 2 are ones I've done on my own. So they're short form ones. So Puny Pods. So it's The Flash, Return of Barry Allen, and Spider-Man versus Wolverine. So I can kind of guess why that was popular.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have guessed those, and I don't think anybody else would. What about the top 5 countries that the podcast is listened to in?
Not including the UK?
Including the UK as well.
I assume
one. You got one. One.
Yeah. Well, there is somebody you've dropped into the podcast already. So you have mentioned 2 countries. So I assume they might be top of your mind for a reason.
Okay.
So Canada and India?
They are on there, yes.
You're paying attention, you see.
You are. Very intelligent man.
America?
Yeah, United States. And you've got one more. You're almost there. This is the hardest one, I think.
Nigeria.
It is, in fact, Belgium.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Big in Belgium.
Yeah, big in Belgium. Who knew? So what do you think the top 5 apps or search engines that the podcast is listened to on are?
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So Apple Podcasts, I assume.
Number 1 with a bullet.
Spotify?
Spotify's not in the top 5. So
this is where, my limited knowledge of podcast services is going to really show.
think more search engines. I think it's probably easier.
Oh, really? Okay. So we're looking at like Google and Yahoo and Bing, and I don't know who else there is for that either.
I'll reveal them. So we've got
please do.
We've got Safari, which is the Apple search engine, which makes sense. You've got the Android Player, which is just I think the Android just your player for your podcasts, I imagine. I don't have an Android phone, so again, the technical faults in my brain. I don't know Android. And then we've got Google Chrome as well. I think you mentioned Google already, but the most surprising one is quite a recent addition. Is Gaana, which is Gaana, which is an Indian podcast app. Recently, I've added the RSS feed, which is the feed that kind of produces your podcast, and you can put it on various apps and things. So I've put it on various kind of apps that are used in India and the surrounding countries because they now have their own operating system. So India and the surrounding countries now have smartphones. So they are now able to listen to podcasts for the very first time. So I've added the RSS feed, and my downloads have boomed since I've added it to India. So I think it's called the Kai OS operating system. So everyone's using it over there. And yeah, if you're a podcaster and you've not got your podcast on Gaana or any of the other I think Hubhopper and Agihami, and then there's a few others. GeoSavan is one. Get your RSS feed on there, and your downloads will boom. Trust me. Well, I believe they will, unless it's just me. Unless I'm just so good that's all they listen to.
Yeah.
Who knows? But thank you very much, India. Thank you for all your downloads.
Bollywood beckons.
It does. Funnily enough, my dad is a doctor of Oriental medicine, like Tweenar, reflexology, that sort of thing. And he used to work with a lot of Bollywood stars. And when I was acting, he was like, "Give me a CV. I'll see if I can get you a job over in Bollywood." And I went, "Dad, I can act, but I can't sing and I can't dance. So I'm going to be unless they want me to do anything like that, I'll be rubbish." But again, who knows? But never came off, never happened. But that's the closest I've got to India. I may, in fact, this year actually do to celebrate. I might actually look at Spider-Man India the comic, perhaps. Maybe that might be an interesting thing for my Indian market. But yeah, excellent.
Yeah, right.
So those are the stats. So now I have tasked you with something very important today. I have tasked you with coming up with a question for a competition. Now, the competition is not being released on social media. It's only for the people who listen, so pay attention. This is a question that Jack has created for this competition. The prize for the competition is a 12-inch Marvel Legends Spider-Man figurine, action figure. And all I want you to do is message me, post me, whatever you want to do, get in touch with me somehow, email me, go on the website, go on my social medias, whatever you need to do. get me that answer as soon as possible when this podcast comes out, and you may be in to win this figure. However, it's only available to people within the UK because I'm very, very cheap. I will only send it to the UK. But still, if you're in the UK, listen, get entering, get me a message, and I'll send it off to you. So, Jack, what is your question?
Well, just quickly, you showed it to me before we started, so it's a glorious prize. I thoroughly recommend everyone listening gets their answers in quick. I think a good question may be quite simple, but I think ties you and your alter ego together.
Oh.
So I'd like people to be able to answer, what is Peter Parker's and Spider-Dan's IQ level?
That's a hard one. I don't know that. I don't know my IQ level.
Well, you're going to find out when the answers come in.
I'll have to now. Okay, that's a great that is a great question. Even me, the biggest Spider-Man fan, does not know Peter Parker's IQ level. Excellent. Again,
please we're testing people a little bit.
Oh, that's an excellent question. Again, not letting me down in the slightest. You meeting my hero and meeting my expectations. Thank you very much, Jack. That was amazing. Amazing. Right, so we're coming a little bit. We're moving on as well. I don't want to hold too long because we are on a timer. We're always on a timer. We could talk all night, Jack, you and I, about all sorts. But we've got things to do. We've got things to crack on with. So I have 10 questions for you, and you have 10 questions for me. Are you ready?
Indeed.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I would like you to go first. I would like to get the first question.
What is your most memorable moment from hosting the show?
Well, luckily, I'm already going to talk about this later, so I already know the answer. So quite a while back, I had my friend Gary Dixon on. He's a guy I work with. He's in my team at work. He's a great guy, really lovely guy. And we did Spice World. We talked about Spice World, which is a totally off the wall episode, probably one of the most popular at the time, actually. One of the most downloaded. And during the discussion, he talked about how much he loved the Spice Girls. And let's be honest, it's not a great movie, but I appreciated his love for Spice World and Spice Girls and Jerry Halliwell in particular. And during the story, he started talking about him as a young man being inspired to come out as gay because the Spice Girls inspired him to be, who he was supposed to be. And I thought that was a really special moment. And it's something that still kind of touches me now. And it's I've listed a few moments later on. I've missed some favorite stuff later on, and that is one of my favorite moments. I think somebody else has mentioned that as well, because that's something that just came out of nowhere. I didn't say this. He just offered that information up, and it was really touching and really special. So yeah, I've got a question for you.
Fire.
Goes back to the question. It's basically what I asked earlier. How do you find the time to balance family life, work, watching all the movies, listening to all the podcasts, and writing the blog?
I don't know. I get up early and I stay up late. If I could not sleep, I would, if I could take a pill to not sleep, I genuinely would. I hate it because I feel like it's wasted time. I'm the only member of my family that feels that way. And in fact, my oldest, who's 8, asked me a few days ago, like, Daddy, do you like sleep? And I was like, no, I genuinely don't. Oh, I love sleep, Daddy. I love it. That's a good thing for an 8-year-old to say, because know it's going to buy you some time to be a grown-up.
So I guess your kids are never fighting to stay up late then. Oh, we love sleep, Daddy.
Yeah. Once a fortnight, the eldest, he's 8 and the youngest is 2. So no, he just goes to bed when he's told. But the eldest gets a treat once a fortnight to stay up for movie night. So he gets a pick, and we get the big screen out, and we get the popcorn and the sweets, and so that's our kind of special time, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know. It just seems to fit in. I mean, most people are asleep in my house by 10 o'clock, so that gives me a good couple of hours. My podcast listening takes up a lot of my time, but it's always on the go. I'm quite an audio learner, I suppose, so I can be doing something else. I can be washing up or cycling to work or whatever it is that I'm doing at the same time, and still manage to take it all in. So that's where most of my podcast listening goes. So hearing you say earlier about the amount of people listening, like on a streaming, on a Mac or on a computer, surprises me, because that's just not something I ever do.
Yeah, not for me either. I tend to listen to my podcasts and my music when I'm walking, when I'm out and about, when I'm when I'm commuting to work or what have you. So like the last year, it's me listening to podcasts has really dipped. So my New Year's resolution is to actually, when I'm working, actively listen to podcasts, because I'm not doing it normally if I don't make myself do it now. And again, it's been brilliant because I've been introduced to like Comics in Motion, that creative community, which I love. It's amazing. Get subscribed to that podcast because they are fantastic. They're doing God's work, and they get one out. They get one out more often than I do, because to be fair, they've got 20 different teams doing stuff.
Yeah, that does help.
Yeah, it does help, but it's just me. It's just me on my one. But yeah, it's great stuff. But yeah, I'm the same. I'm very much like, I will be out doing something, or I'll be cleaning the house, or something like that. But yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, it sounds like you get up late, you do stuff, and it's good that you can fill this time. That it's not, it doesn't seem draining to me when you talk about it. It doesn't seem draining at all. It just seems like your average every day, and it's something you can manage and figure out how to do. And I think it's amazing to have your kids must be so lucky to have a dad like you who can fit everything in and can work and then still spend time with them and do all this other stuff as well. Very, very lucky kids, I think.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, we'll ask them again in another 10 years and see how they feel.
Yes, teenagers are the worst. Right. What's your second question?
So you've brought up already tonight, so this is good that it's leading in about your performing background. So I always find it interesting when you talk about that on your podcast. So I've got a couple of questions about that. Sure. So the first one is, in your kind of actual past of being an actor, what has been the kind of your most favorite part that you've played?
Ooh, I'm gonna say Banquo in Macbeth. I think. Because it's not a role I would usually get. I tend to get kind of the villain, or the elder mentor, or the wizard, or because I've almost never had hair, and I've always looked a bit older than I am. So I tend to have those, or I'm the smackhead or something like that. I'm all, all the lovely roles, and people are like, "Oh, they're so good! They're so good, those roles. I want to play that." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I just want to, for once, I want to be like the leading man or the romantic lead,
right.
Every so often." Or I'm usually like a bloody zombie or something. So yeah, Banquo is kind of the closest I got to like a straight role and kind of the best mate. And again, I love Shakespeare, and one of the parts I played as well was oh God, what's his name? Oberon in Midsummer Night's Dream. That was my final year production at university. But it was all inspired by Universal Monsters. So
nice.
So Titania, or Titania, as the director wanted to call her, Titania. She looked like the bride of Frankenstein. I look like I look like Nosferatu. And then the fairies were like these zombie kind of girls, these almost dead ghost girls. So that was the kind of world that was created. The director had that in mind. And I look like Nosferatu. I've got the ears for it. I've got the bald head for it. So you can picture me. I'll see if I can find some. I've got some photos somewhere. I'll pull them out and I'll post them or send them somewhere, I'm sure. And you can see. You can see, it's. I think it's one of the roles I've been photographed well as, because it was very much like a very physical role, a lot of hands and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that was those two are probably my favorite roles, I think. But I've had lots. Buttons was quite good. The first ever pantomime I did, I played Buttons.
Oh yeah.
Again, was very different from roles I've played in the past. So that was fun to be the kind of silly, funny. All the kids love you, that kind of role. Yeah, that was a good, and it was my first paid job as well. So I was like, yes, mate, money. so yeah. Did you say you had another acting question, or?
Yeah, I can fly straight into question number 3 if you want.
Go for it.
So the flip side of that, and I don't know what if you're still harboring the ambitions, or if you're still thinking about the acting, but like, if you could play any part, what would it be? Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I'd got a take. I think I'd make a really good Ebenezer Scrooge. And again, look older than I am. And I think I could do it. I love Christmas Carol. It's a classic. Mm-hmm. I played Fagin a while back, very long time ago now, and that I really enjoyed as well. One of the directors, not the director, the musician, the piano guy, the musical director, he said, I love your Fagin. He gets more and more paedophilic every night. And I was like, I think that's a compliment, but
yeah,
sure, okay.
There's one in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, so yeah, Ebenezer Scrooge definitely is, and you know, I love all my Christmassy stuff, the alternative Christmassy stuff, you know me. So yeah, definitely that. Do you want to just carry on with your questions, and then I'll just run through mine when you're done?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Still in the same kind of realm. You can see where my thought process was going.
Good.
Which comic character that we haven't yet seen are you keen to have move into live action?
The mobile organism designed only for killing, MODOK.
All right. Okay.
I think he's pure Kirby, pure Jack Kirby creation. He's amazing. Looks great. I think he's funny, yet he can also be very disturbing. The idea can be really disturbing and haunting. I know we're getting an animated series with him in, but I'd like to see a really dark take on MODOK and really like, you know, body horror kind of fucked up take on MODOK, because I think that's within the realms of possibility. So yes.
So we need a Cronenberg take, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, give me that. Video drone,
nice.
That sort of thing. Yeah, I love that shit. Feed me that. Yes, MODOK, absolutely MODOK.
When did he when was he invented? Like, when was he first written?
So it was introduced in Tales of Suspense. I don't know the number, but it was Captain America's story where he was fighting AIM, because he was the leader of AIM. He was created by AIM, but then took over. It was Iron Man and Captain America shared that book. So he only makes an appearance very, very briefly. But yeah, amazing kind of 60s kind of character, bizarre. But he's kind of developed, and there's loads of different versions of him as well. But he's either often played for a joke, but then there's also, you know, the more serious take on him. But I think both work. I personally really enjoy MODOK's 11, which is basically Ocean's 11, but with MODOK and the supervillains of the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
Which I think is a genius idea. Give me that. Give me that. I love all the kind of weird and wacky villains like the Armadillo and stuff. You know, give me all those kind of characters. But yeah, definitely MODOK. Definitely.
See, there's my just going to my notes. There's my first thing I'm making on my notes based on today's podcast from you, Dan. You know, something to look up later afterwards. That's what I come here for.
Yeah.
MODOK's 11. All right. Now I'm stop being distracted. So thinking about content that you've done in your podcast, I was looking back at the episodes and what you've covered, and I wondered what you think is not necessarily in the podcast, but what's the most non-mainstream kind of, you know, like secret film that would I can't quite remember your exact catchphrase, you know, like secret film that would bore others. You think you've seen? Like, what's the most kind of alternative odd film that you reckon you've seen?
Now, I watched a film very recently I posted about on Twitter called Who Can Kill a Child?
Yeah, I remember seeing it. Yeah,
and it opens with the first 7 or 8 minutes are footage from Vietnam, World War II, Auschwitz, either of ill, injured, or dying children, which was quite a bit to take in. However, like if that footage has got nothing to do with the film. But I think because of that footage, a lot of people will avoid the film and will not watch the film. And I would, if that upsets you, which most people I think it would, even I was upset, but I feel that I need to watch the uncut version of stuff, the unedited version. I watched the whole thing. But when you get into the main film, it is so good, so taut, so full of suspense, and that moral question is throughout. Like you don't know yourself if you're in that situation, would you actually kill a child? It's a Spanish film. I've not seen any other Spanish films, but I do like killer kid movies. It's a weird genre, but I like it. I like the idea of taking something innocent and turning it on its head, something innocent and not harmful into something else, something other. And I think that film does it expertly. So that is probably one that people would normally avoid, and people, even me talking about it now, I can see why people would. And And I think that's the reason. However, when you get past that 7 or 8 minutes, fantastic film, great performances, great music. Just everything about it was phenomenal. I think if you can get hold of it, I had to buy it on iTunes to get it, so now I've got that forever.
You're on some sort of list somewhere, I bet.
I know, right? But yeah, I think that one's. I mean, I've not done a podcast on that. I may do in the future, possibly, but that was definitely something that I think is underrated or is avoided for obvious reasons. Totally, I get why people would avoid it, but I would definitely search that out. Skip the first 8 minutes, 7 or 8 minutes. Wait for the actual film to start, and then enjoy that for what it is, which is a fantastic film.
So you don't think the first 8 minutes are essential to what comes later?
No, I get what they're trying to say, but it's not essential. So you could have easily just cut that for me, those 8 minutes, because it's still like an hour and 40 something. So you'd still have like an hour and a half worth of stuff.
Yeah.
So I would have just personally, I would have excised that. But again, I get what he's sort of trying to say, but it's still nah. But yeah, I would check that film out. But again, I understand why. But skip those minutes. Just skip them for a really good horror film.
Quite as excitedly reaching towards my notes for that one as I was Modoc 11, if I'm honest.
And you know what? I totally understand it. I totally get it. But that's what this show's about. It's introducing to stuff that maybe, I like to get outside my comfort zones, and that was very much outside my comfort zone, and outside of many people's comfort zones. But yeah, that it's there. I present it, take it for what it is. If you want it, you don't have to take it. It's a lovely little pill if you like it, but it is also covered with 8 minutes of horrible shit. So yeah, but yeah, who can kill a child? Definitely.
Got a few left.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you could only read one of the two big comic publishers from now on, so DC or Marvel, who would it be and why?
So are we talking what they're releasing at the moment?
No, well, no. I think if you in this ridiculous world where we get these people that say I'm a DC guy, I'm a Marvel guy, we know most fans that doesn't exist. We're both. We like what we like from both properties, and there'll be things that we don't like from either. But if you were forced to make a choice, which way would you go?
I think I'd probably still have to go Marvel. I'll be honest, I've read more DC in the recent years, in the last few years, probably doing this podcast as well. I've had Marvel Unlimited, but I've not enjoyed it as much as I used to. I've had it for several years now, and now I'm cancelling it because I'm not really using it at all. But I will still buy Marvel comic books for Comixology and stuff. But I would still go Marvel because I think when I was growing up, I felt very much the outsider and stuff. I felt there's days where you feel like a bloody monster and stuff, and I always related to the stories from Marvel and their monsters were heroes, or the people who were not necessarily the best looking or had disabilities or things like that. They were made into heroes. I think DC is very much about gods trying to be human, which I don't think is as compelling for me, because these characters are born of accidents, are born of problems, and born of stuff. And for a longest time, like the DC characters didn't really have those things until Marvel kind of said, let's make this let's focus on the human within superhuman, and revolutionize the industry. And I think that's probably why I would stick with those characters. I'm more familiar. This, as much as I know about DC, I'm not as well versed in it because of the constant kind of reboots and stuff that occur, which for better or for worse, that's just what they do. And Marvel never has really done a massive reboot until the latest Secret Wars. But definitely Marvel. But I very much love DC. I'm not one of the fanboys that fights.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, we're not perpetuating that argument. I just think, it's an interesting one to think about, if you had to.
Yeah. If you put a gun to my head, I go Marvel. Yeah. I don't think I'd even take that much time to think about it. I would just go Marvel.
With a gun to your head, that's probably advisable.
Yes.
Think quickly. So again, doing my research back as I was for your class, I was thinking, like, obviously the majority of things you cover is comics and films, I would say, other than your kind of special topics. So I just wondered what your thoughts were of branching out into other areas, like whether you contemplate TV or music, or whether you feel like that's too much work or it's too mainstream. I don't know.
So with the podcast specifically, or what I'm doing now, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I mean, like, just scrolling back through your episodes, or as they are now, like 80 something of them. Comics and films is what leaps out, isn't it? So I just wondered whether there were any. Well, we're going to get to future plans, aren't we?
But yeah.
Whether there was any time of that kind, you think of that might be something you might.
I used to write articles for Nerdify way back. I'll be honest, I'm not that well versed in my writing skills. It's not something I suffer from dyslexia and dyspraxia, so sometimes my punctuation is atrocious. Dan used to have to edit my articles, and he would sometimes edit them quite drastically, just because I'm like, it's just like ramblings of a madman sometimes. So I mean, I know you guys like Max Byrne and everybody there, and Tony, they're all, you guys write as well and do all this other stuff, and I'm like, it's like I would, but I just don't think I'm as well versed in that realm. I'll give it a go. I'd give it if somebody wanted to pay me for it, I'll do it. somebody want to do all the technical stuff with the YouTube stuff, I'll do a YouTube channel, or do TV. I'm open. I'm send me a line, send me an email, send me whoever wants to get involved, wants to do something. I'm interested. If as long as it kind of fits with what I'm doing, I'm happy with that. Yeah, absolutely. So give me a ring. Was
all
that
right? Couple left.
Go for it.
Dream job.
Well, to do this full time would be great.
Sure.
I would love this because I really enjoy, I enjoy doing the research. I enjoy creating the little bits of art and stuff. There's not amazing, but it's something to kind of pass the time. I'd love to get kind of more stuck into like the search engine optimization stuff and kind of work out how that works and take advantage of that stuff. This. Pay me full time for this. What I'm already doing.
All right. Idol. Who's your idol?
That's a tough one. I'm going to have to say Stanley, I think. Luckily I got to meet him a few years before he passed away, and I was genuinely quite gutted when he died. Like it's not every celebrity I'm very because it took me a few days to kind of process it, and I was like, bloody hell, this is it's people get attached to different actors and various other stuff, but for me, like Stan was really important, and you knew it was important to people that knew me, because the second I came out of work, my phone fucking exploded with messages.
Right.
It was like, oh my God, Stan's dead. Are you okay? Are you all right? Oh my God, you met him. It's so sad. He's such a lovely guy and stuff. And, his back history might not be, I'm not saying he was a saint. He's absolutely,
of course,
with everything that's gone with Kirby, with Ditko, he's not, he's a businessman. But for me, he he voiced the cartoons, he made cameos, he was there and his voice was there from a very young age for me, from reading those, Origin comics and stuff, and Spider-Man, So yeah, I would say Stan, because he was just a creative powerhouse. Again, some of the creativity might be more on the shoulders of other people, but for me, he was the guy. He was the guy. So I understand if people don't, believe in that, have the same feelings that I do for Stan. But for me, he was Stan the man.
Oh, look at that lovely finish.
Right. I guess I have to finish my questions off for you.
Go for it.
Right. Okay. Sorry, did I do number 2? No, I didn't do number 2. So number 2, what is the future for your new podcast, Season's Greetings? Currently titled Binging Buffy, but obviously you want to kind of branch out and do other stuff. So like Sliders, I think you discussed doing that possibly in the future.
Yeah, so Tony, I've been throwing around a few ideas. I think we're going to go straight from Buffy into Angel. It just seems to make sense. So we're going to do those 2 shows back to back. So that's covering a year of podcasts for us, which is a bit scary. We first discussed it in January this year. So, and I think the first one came out in February, didn't it? Or 2 came out in February in the end. So yeah, we'll be looking at the rest of the year being based in that kind of universe. And then, yeah, I guess I don't know how we'll decide what comes next. We've discussed a few ideas. Sliders is one. I think we both felt passionate about it when we were a bit younger. He's a few years older than me, but not a lot. He's really keen on doing the original Next Generation run, which would be really interesting to see. I've not watched those for a long time. The first episode we did together, I discussed the old BBC Two, like alternative 6 o'clock to like 7:30 slot, where they used to have.
Oh, yeah. It was like Next Generation.
That's it. Yeah, all these shows that I loved all were on at that kind of time on BBC Two. So essentially, anything that was shown on BBC Two between 6 o'clock and 7:30 midweek, we could put in there.
Sliders was definitely in that slot as well. I remember. Yeah.
Sliders was in that slot, 100%. Yeah, we had like the Fresh Prince, and didn't we? Yeah, Next Gen, and
they had a bit of they had Simpsons, but they only showed a set few episodes that they owned, I think.
They did, you're right. They had Simpsons as well, yeah, before Channel 4 got it. So I don't know. I think we've found our rhythm now. So I think it's good that we've got you coming on next episode, because we feel like we know what we're doing. We've had those couple episodes to get under our feet. Yeah, we're building, I think. Yeah, I'm excited about it. And this is my first proper foray into this world. I've done a couple of guest spots, but taking a bit of ownership's been really good. And, we've mentioned them a couple of times. We're not here to completely laud them, but, the guys at Comments in Motion are so, they're so giving with their time. And if you go to them with an idea, it's like, okay, great. If we can find a way to fit that into our slot, their aim is 1 a day, then they'll find a way to fit it in. So
that's amazing.
Who knows? If I get inspired, there's a couple of things swimming around in my head that might, if this goes well and I've got time to fit it in, that I might think about doing as well.
Yeah, keep those ideas percolating, because you never know. Like, who knew that I'd be up to 100 episodes? I couldn't have even predicted that. Who knew? But the future is bright. The future is certainly bright for Season's Greetings, and I can't wait to be on it myself and get proper stuck in, because I'm loving Buffy at the moment. Just going through those again, really top quality stuff. I know Andy's started watching them as well.
Great!
Never seen them, and I've never seen Angel, so that would be a really good one to follow up with this, because I can just kind of follow your podcast and kind of follow the seasons as you do them. So yeah, it'd be brilliant. Next question. What do you look for in your creator content, such as podcasts and YouTube? What do you look for specifically?
I think, I don't want to repeat myself, but I think, the reason I've been drawn to you, and then obviously I found Andy through you as well, is I like to be introduced to new things. Much like yourself, I'm willing to give anything a go. Even if it's going to push my boundaries, I made the joke before about not being so keen to jump on Would You Kill a Child, I think it was called.
Yeah.
But I would say I would sit and give it a go and give it a watch and try it out. So that's a main thing that I'm drawn to. I think passionate opinion is really important, but it needs to be reasoned as well. I think it needs to come from a place where you're passionate about it, but you're not vehement about my way is the right way. And I think that's definitely something your show offers, because the guests you get on don't always agree with what you're trying to say.
No.
There are definitely some things I look forward to. And I think I'm quite nostalgic, I suppose, in a way. I think most of us are, really. And I'm getting to that age now. So I turned 40 last year. So I'm getting to that age now where all the kind of creators, I suppose, who are moving into power in companies, in terms of, comics and films and TV, are probably of a similar age or a little bit older than me, so between 40 and 50. So grew up on the same things I grew up. And it happens in these cycles, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So all this content we're getting now is all stuff which I either read or watched or was drawn to when I was younger. So all these nostalgic shows, Cobra Kai, I mean, that's just pushing all my buttons.
Yeah.
And of course, the explosion of Marvel and the MCU, where, a kid growing up in the 80s reading comics was not cool.
And it wasn't in the 90s either, I can tell you that.
No, fair enough. Yeah. But a kid watching MCU movies now is the coolest thing you can do, which is great, and that's awesome, and I'm pleased about that. But So yeah, they're the things I suppose I look for.
Yeah, I and that's what I pride myself on, being passionate and having people that are passionate. Andy, for example, is very passionate. Sometimes in whatever way he takes it. And I always enjoy his opinions. Again, we don't always agree. Sometimes I feel he's unnecessarily harsh. Sometimes he thinks I'm a little too soft on some films. But that's just the way we float. But I appreciate his opinion. I'll take it in. We'll take it on board. And sometimes we can totally agree on something, 100%. But yeah, passion is really important to me. And I want to be either passionately not like something while also giving it a chance, or passionately like something while still admiring its flaws and kind of respecting its flaws within the storytelling. I mean, look at the litany of films I've covered. A lot of those follow and cover that base. We can talk Maniac Cop and all sorts. So yeah, there's loads. Next question: does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
Good answer. What has been your favorite review to write on your blog?
I think it has to be the Mandalorian season 2, because the process of watching that with my eldest was quite something. We started it late, so unfortunately I did have the big season finale spoiler revealed to me, but that paled into comparison to, because what I did, I'd watched all of season 1, so then I rewatched season 1 with him, but it just took a little while to get through it. He was enjoying it, but when you're 8, your focus isn't always on one thing. It pings around like pinball.
Even when you're 33, Jack, same.
But when we got to season 2, he really got into it, and for Christmas I got bought a projector and a big screen because we couldn't go to the cinema. It was a really beautiful gift. We couldn't go to the cinema, so the cinema was brought to me. So we watched the season finale of that on the big screen. And we were on separate sofas in the living room, and he turned to me, sorry guys, spoilers for Mandalorian season 2 if you've not seen it, but when Grogu leaves, he just turned to me and completely broke and was in floods of tears. I've not seen him like that for a really long time. And then he looked at me and saw that I was crying as well, so he just came, we had a big cuddle and a cry on the sofa together. So it was a really magical moment, and then getting to write about that and put it into words and know that's out there forever. That was quite a special one to write, and I really tried to put how that felt to me into that review. So I've gone back and read that a couple of times, because it's just when I need a little kind of little emotional moment to myself. That's the one that sticks out.
That's really nice. That's a really sweet moment. I've still not seen The Mandalorian, any of it.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
You should have stopped me.
No, I've already had it spoiled. Regardless, there's a million memes, there's all this other stuff, don't worry. But I'm glad I heard that story. That's a really nice story. And I kind of wish I'd read the review now, because I was like, I'll watch it first, then I'll go back and read the review. And now I'm like, now the review sounds better. Anyway, if you had one superpower for a day, what would it be, and how would you use it?
Oh, that's interesting. Like, as soon as you said superpower, I knew what my answer was. But then when you take it away when it's only for a day, that does change things. For a day, I think I would have, I'm going to reveal that maybe I'm a little bit evil here. I think if I could only have it for a day, I'd want to be able to phase, and I would make sure that I could procure enough funds to make my life a bit more comfortable, I think. Yeah. If it was a power forever, then that's not the one I go for. But for a day, I think I'd have to use it for my powers for evil.
It's fine. Banks are insured anyway. It's fine.
Well, yes, it's not somebody's money, is it? Exactly.
As long as you're not stealing from your next door neighbour, it's fine. Get all the fat cats. Get all the go and rob a Tory Parliament member's second house or something. Anybody that's earning top dollar.
Yeah.
Go rob.
We're going to notice it.
No, exactly. They're going to be like, "What's that? Oh, a ghost walked in, walked out. Oh well." No, great. I think that's good or evil, but you got a family to support, so I totally get that.
Wow. I like all your answers to my answer there.
All right, next question. Who is your favorite B-movie actor or actress? So this is like kind of think of like someone like Rutger Hauer or like a Gary Busey or those kind of, or any of the kind of scream queen types, any cult movies, icons, you name it, any of those.
Two great names immediately, but the one that came straight to mind and may well come up again later is Bruce Campbell.
Yes.
Oh, I love that guy.
Groovy.
He's just a legend. Obviously from Evil Dead, but then I will watch him in anything. So I watched all of a show called Burn Notice.
Yeah, I heard he's good in that
because he had a supporting role in that. So the show was very average, but I'm going to watch every episode because Bruce Campbell's in it. So yeah, that's the guy. He's my go-to.
Excellent. I think that's an amazing choice. If anything, he is the B-movie actor, the cult film actor.
Yeah.
I think he's the guy. He's the chin.
Absolutely.
I think I first saw him in Hercules. Do you remember when he was the the king of thieves?
Although we can't go back and watch that now.
Oh yeah.
That's not on the list, I'm afraid.
No, but you can watch Xena.
You can absolutely. You can watch Xena. Yeah,
watch Xena. So next question says number 8. What bad film do you think deserves a remake, a second chance?
Good question. A bad film. I mean, I can think of some bad films. I'm not sure they deserve a second chance.
Like what? Like if you think that maybe the concept is good. So like Ocean's 11, for example, was a poor original film, but was remade into a better one.
Yeah.
So the concept is good, or the idea is good, but the execution was poor. Maybe that idea deserves a second chance.
Let's think.
It's a tough one, I know.
Have I seen? No, it's a good one. I like it. It's a thinker. Because I mean, what comes to mind is all the absolute stinkers. But do I want to watch another version of that? I'd love to see a good Ghost Rider.
Oh yeah,
they're fine. Those films, they're not awful. The Nick Cage ones, because they got Nick Cage in it. And I've never seen the Ghost Rider version in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I dropped out of that show way before he came into it as a character.
I dropped out of it about the 7th or 8th episode of the first season because I just was like, it's the same episode over and over and over and over. Everything had a bomb in it. There was a bomb in an eye. There was one guy was a bomb. Then there was a bomb which was a gravity bomb. I was just like, it's boring. Yeah. This is not what I want from an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Where's my espionage? Where's my James Bond Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Absolutely. So a bit like you with MODOK, the Cronenberg MODOK. We need a really strong voice to take charge of that character, I think, and give us a proper scary, horror-inflected, supernatural take on Ghost Rider. Would
you go with Johnny Blaze again, or would you try one of the different Ghost Rider hosts, like a Danny Ketch, or there was a female Ghost Rider? There was a Native American Ghost Rider a while back as well. There's lots of different hosts. Would you try a different host or a different person, or would you stick with Johnny Blaze as the Ghost Rider?
I think, to be honest, I'm indifferent to that answer. It's a bit like, which Spider-Man show we have? Well, as long as it's a good Spider-Man movie, it can be Peter Parker, it can be Miles Morales, it can be Gwen Stacy. It really doesn't matter. Just give me good content. So we're probably in a world where we're looking at the more. Where am I going with this? Not like the prime character, I suppose. Like Green Lantern. Do we need Howard Jordan? Probably not. We'll have somebody that's a bit more interesting. So maybe not Johnny Blaze. Find something that's got a bit more of a niche to it. I think would be more interesting.
Good answer. I love Ghost Rider as a character. He got really popular in the 90s, and I was like, peak Ghost Rider for me was the Danny Ketch version. Just random kid just finds this power, and becomes a Ghost Rider. So that was all good shit to me back in the day. So yeah, great. No, a great choice. I mean, I want that as well, very much so. But we'll wait and see. Now this goes back to your kids and watching stuff with your kids. So what film have you introduced to your children that has had the most surprising opinion or comment from them? So
obviously the T-Rod's not really seen too much yet. Not in terms of introducing him to what I would consider my classics. I've been through all the Star Wars, all the Indiana Jones, all the Back to the Futures. He's seen all the Harry Potters. So he'd been through a few franchises. He does quite get into that idea. He was surprisingly overwhelmed by the first Jurassic Park.
Okay, like scared or?
Yeah. I thought he'd be fine with it because some of the, we've watched a lot of stuff which feels older to me. Tony often says this about he feels like, I was a bad parent. I showed my kid this at too young an age. I'm also a bad parent in that way. If I like it and I think they'll like it, then I'm kind of there and watching with it. I'm not probably going to show them, Cannibal Holocaust anytime soon, but
show them who can kill a child. Show them who can kill a child. Fine.
So yeah, that was probably. I mean, he absolutely adored Back to the Future, and he went through a phase of dressing up as Indiana Jones, which was so cool for me as a parent. But yeah, probably his reaction to Jurassic Park, that we've not come back and watched any others. I thought we would have blitzed our way through the whole series, but he's been a bit put off. He loves everything else Jurassic Park, like Camp Cretaceous and games, but the films he's a little bit. They're too real looking, I think.
Yeah,
it shows how well those effects stand up.
But to be fair, like when I was a kid, I was afraid of the Rancor. So if he's not if he wasn't scared of the Rancor, like I would, if I was in your position, I would think if he can handle the Rancor, then he can handle a T-Rex, surely. So yeah, I don't think that was a bad shout to jump from that to that. But clearly there's something about the dinosaurs or the way it's. Was it the bit where the toilet bit where he gets eaten? Was it that bit or? No.
T-Rex was fine. It was when the Raptors came in.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's good.
And the kitchen and.
It's kids in peril as well.
Kids in peril, yeah.
Maybe that's it. So yeah, but again, like that. Again, that's quite a sensitive thing. Like I've talked about it before. Like parents don't often like to see kids in peril in films, and that's that's totally understandable. I get that. But yeah, it's that must have just been like that little boy is me. That could be me.
Maybe. Yeah. There's some identification there. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what I imagine it is. But yeah, excellent. Right, I think I've got one more. We might have to go a bit longer than planned because I think time's.
As long as you're happy.
Are you happy to continue? Because if not,
that's fine.
I can.
What more could I want for my evening than sitting talking geeky stuff with
with me,
somebody that I've been looking up to for ages and is fast becoming a friend as well as an idol.
Oh, I really appreciate that, Jack, and I consider you a friend, and I consider I know this is the first time we've talked, on camera and face to face, but all the stuff you've said and all the stuff you continue to do, you support Andy and my friends and the other podcasts I'm on or podcasts I've been a part of, or also like, hey, this is my friend. Watch their YouTube stuff, and that's amazing to me. So I do genuinely consider you a friend, and I thank you for your friendship. This is brilliant. But and thank you for again being part of this and going on a little bit later than planned. But this is all good shit. Like this is not this isn't going to get cut. This is all staying in. I'll split the episode, sure, but this is
If this isn't bringing in another 8,000 listeners, there's nothing we can do.
Exactly. We've done the best we possibly can. So moving on to the final question for you this evening. Well, it won't be the final question for you this evening, but it's my final question to you, I think.
Sure.
Hopefully. Who knows? What would you say to convince someone to listen to this podcast?
Oh, good one. I think, in danger of repeating myself, if you want something is going to surprise you, that is going to offer you something that you won't find somewhere else, that is going to continually increase your reading and watching lists, which never get shorter, never ever get shorter.
That's the fun of these lists, though, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. Even if I took that pill and didn't ever go to sleep and was made immortal, I still wouldn't get through all this stuff, I don't think. Yeah, that's what I would say. I think there's lots of podcasts, and they're good podcasts that offer takes on the same thing that everyone else is doing. And I listen to some of those, and I like those because they will have something about their own voice which will draw you in. But I think you offer something that others don't, which is you've never heard of this before, or you didn't think you wanted to read or watch this, and once you've listened to me, you'll be persuaded, or you thought you knew who the villains were in Batman. But how about these 5 random characters that you may have sort of glazed over or not noticed or haven't ever read or experienced before? So, yeah, I think I never come away from one of your shows without having learned something or have something new to consume. And that's what I'm listening for.
Right. That is the best answer. Of all the questions, that was your best answer. Fantastic. Yeah, I actively... when I started the podcast, I've always been into comics. I've always been into media that is not as celebrated, and sometimes you have to root around and dig. That's what I used to like doing in like HMV. I would just randomly go, I like the films of Walter Hill. What's this? Oh, Johnny Handsome. Got Mickey Rourke in it and Lance Henriksen. Okay, let's watch it. Is it good? yeah, it's pretty good. I love that idea. Like my friend Nathan Smith, who's been on the show a few times as well. He misses kind of rooting through records because it's all kind of digital now. But that is kind of the world. But I like to kind of, this is my own, like, this is my digging. I've done the internet digging. I've found these weird and wacky films and I'm bringing them. And I've actively tried to stay away from. It probably negatively affects like the amount of people that probably will see it, like the kind of the search engine optimization stuff and being found. But I don't mind. Like, yeah, the Mandalorian's out, so I should probably do something related to the Mandalorian. And even when I do stuff that's related to something that's coming out, I tend not to do a review of that thing because every single person I know will be reviewing that and watching that thing. So I don't want to watch it. I want to fight. I want to, I'm pushing against the grain. I don't want to do that. So I'll do, if it was WandaVision, for example, I would do, Vision Quest from West Coast Avengers. I wouldn't review the show. But that's just me. And I think that makes me more unique, but also, like I said, probably negatively affects the amount of people I can get and reach, but I don't care. This is what I want to do. It's the way I'm going to do it. And if you don't like it, saddle on.
Well, the example that came up earlier is perfect. And it's what I think the people that do listen and that are loyal and, come back to you week after week, that's what they're coming for. The example of, Parasite was coming out, but you didn't review Parasite. You looked at kind of a more unheralded, lesser seen, perhaps unknown for a lot of people, film from Bong Joon-ho, and you gave them the host. So that is your area, that's your niche. I don't think I'd want to see you move into mainstream. I think that's where you belong, and I think you have a voice that helps other people find that stuff.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and that's what I love about it is that there's, things are, the popular stuff is popular, and obviously there'll be hashtags up the wall for WandaVision every week, and Mandalorian every week and stuff, and I will get to it, and there's a lot of stuff that I will eventually probably get round to, and the reason it's heralded is because it is good, and I get that, but I want to test my waters, test my boundaries, and see what else I can find. And if it's good, like I watched a zombie movie last night, which was incredible, really, really good film called It Stains the Sands Red. And it's basically about a woman and a zombie, and there's just like a desert between them, single zombie and this woman. And it's great character piece, great zombie film. It's a Shudder exclusive. So if you've got Shudder or if you've got Amazon, you can apply for the channel of Shudder. Get the free month. It's totally worth it. It's a great zombie film. The actress in it is fantastic. So good. Quality stuff. But again, that was wonderful. I love that I discovered that. But and that's part of the charm of the podcast, I think. Anyway, I banged on way too much about that. So let's go on to some of our favorite guests, moments, episodes, comics, films, whatever. So I'm going to let you again go first, and just to talk about stuff. Again, I'm sure you love every single episode, Jack. I'm sure you, of course, every single one. But I'd like to know specifically if there's some that you really enjoyed and what you got out of them, or again, any moments and stuff. So the platform is yours.
Thanks. Yeah, I think the two people that stick out the most, and again, it's not to disparage anyone else, but obviously I've found Andy through you, and I've come to be a fan of his work as well. So I think, your collaborations with him, there's real chemistry there, and they always bring out some of the best. So I enjoy the shows he's on, and obviously, notably recently, you've had your big Star Wars epic that couldn't even be contained in 2 episodes on your show. It had to make it onto YouTube on his as well. So that was great fun. And I think, I think your acceptance versus his, not aggression, but his kind of...
it's definitely aggression.
He calls himself Angry Andy, to be fair. Your acceptance versus aggression makes for a real fun listen. And then I said I was going to mention him. Like every time Dennis is on, he just expands my knowledge, and the conversations you two guys have are really fascinating. Like I went away for comics for quite a while. I went through that kind of teenage phase of moving away. So there's a big gap where I don't know if I'll ever fill it, but there's a big gap that I learned to find what comics I want to read, or even if it's just a bit of backstory on a character which should pass me by, and having somebody like yourself and Dennis on talking about that are real like sources of fonts of information for me. So they're probably the two guests that stand out the most.
Yeah, I think for me again, like Andy was inspired because he was already writing his reviews on Facebook. But I think once he saw like the podcast and he enjoyed kind of the discussion and the debate, like our first one was a Nicolas Cage film. And that went, and we had so much fun doing that. We were just like, and again, and the bad thing about me and Andy is we tend to just bang on. But again, you get double the amount of podcasts sometimes, which is not a bad thing really. But yeah, he's very passionate, and he's a great friend of mine. We're very close, and arguably we've become closer through this. I think, and I'm definitely going to his wedding when that occurs. It's been cancelled twice now. Him and Natalie, who is another guest who I'm going to have back on soon as well. They're lovely. They're so kind to me and so accepting of me and putting up with any bullshit I may bring their way. They're really good friends. And because Andy even said, he was like, you called me Angry Andy on the first podcast. So I'm kind of going to adopt that name. And I went, yeah, go for it.
I like it.
That's fine. And Ben Crampton as well, who I've had on the show, he went and did he got his own YouTube channel back up and running. And then, I brought him back on. He had a hiatus, and then I brought him back on, and then he's back. So the fact that I can inspire people and people equally have inspired me as well, Nerdify and Dan and everybody, it's amazing. It's like I said earlier, it's a gift, and these friendships are a gift. And Dennis, we kind of met through another person, but actually we've become closer. There's a closer friendship between me and Dennis because we just have so much in common, and we have this knowledge, and we both like. There's a lot of people online nowadays, the kind of what I like to call the Wikipedia YouTube comic book readers, who like I'm not a gatekeeper in any form. I don't say you're not a real fan, but I know when you've not read something. I will know when you've not read a comic. I know that you've looked that up on Wikipedia. I know that you've got that information. You've not actually read the book, because you can tell me all the basics, but you can't tell me how it made you feel. You can't tell me the character's emotional journey. I can't hear the passion that you have for these books, and that kind of gets my goat. And I think me and Dennis have that same, like, I've met cosplayers as well, and again, they look great, they're amazing, but then I'll go up to them and go, oh, I love Harley Quinn, I love her story here, I love her comic here, and they'll be like, and they'll talk to me and they're like, who's Harley Quinn? And I'm like, you're dressed like, I was like, she's a psychiatrist, she does this, she does that. She went, oh, I didn't even know she was a doctor. I just dressed up as it. And I'm like, that's fine. And I'm not mad that you don't know anything, but I again, it's, for me, it's passion. If you're passionate about that character, when I do cosplay, I know I'm passionate about that character. I want to know more. And if they were like, okay, I don't know much, can you recommend something? I'm more than happy to. Again, I'm not this gatekeeper. I won't, when I have my podcast, I always make sure that everyone's on the ground level, on the ground floor. We're all talking about the same thing. And if it's something that needs, contextualizing, like the latest podcast I did, Dennis was like, oh, people know what Friday the 13th is. And I went, no, some of them won't know what Friday the 13th is. So we need to explain it. it's basic, and I'm happy to do that, even in a very quick manner, or a very, because they might not listen to the podcast, might not seen any of the films. It happens, so I don't mind doing that. But I'm very, I want people to be passionate about stuff, and I want people to read it and to actually read it, and that's why I'm so passionate for people to go and read it. And I always think passion is a real motivator, and I feel like when I'm passionate, other people are passionate, and I know people that have gone out of their way and spent money based on my recommendations, based on Dennis's recommendation. And I think that's amazing. And again, the people I can reach and get people to buy stuff and pay good money to read a weird comic that I consider the best Vulture appearance, it's baffling to me, but I love it. And it's a gift. It's a true gift. Some of my, Dennis is, I think the people you see more often are the people I have a better chemistry with and a better connection. And also I have some guests that will only talk about a certain thing. That's their expertise. They like anime, they like video games, whatever. That's fine. However, it's easier for me if I go, do you want to watch this random film? And they go, oh, I don't know, I'm not really into that type of film, or I'm not, and I'm like, that's fine. I can find other people. I have friends that will do basically anything within reason. But yeah, so I like that. But some of my favorite guests personally, again, you've already mentioned Dennis and Andy. Dan Keatis as well was kind of a big inspiration for Nerdify stuff. So he's one of my favorite guests, and he's so intelligent. Like, he is such an intelligent guy. He can reel off, like, I struggle with people's names and remembering, like, cinematographers and producers and stuff. He knows that. Like, I have to write that shit down and remember it. He's like, bam, 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 bam. I know all of it. And he's a teacher. He's been a teacher as well. He's a writer. He's currently a writer. He's an amazing guy. And like the one where we talked about The Shadow, Alec Baldwin's The Shadow is one of my favorites. That was just a really strong episode. And every time I have him on, it's a lot of fun. Who else? Rasheen's great. I really like Rasheen. She's very much into a horror. That's her niche. But she knows her shit and she's really into it. And again, she has a really good kind of taste. She has great taste in horror and has seen so much stuff, like modern. She's been in horror films. I've been in a film with her that her boyfriend directed. She's fantastic, great actress as well. I've been in plays with her as well. She's great, and I'm going to have her on again very soon for Samurai Month. She's coming back, and a few other people as well.
Nice.
Ben, who I've already mentioned, who's great. Al Ewing was a dream come true. Scott and Lucy, I really enjoyed the Twilight episode specifically. Again, like, I didn't think I'd come out of that kind of sort of liking the Twilight movies. Who knew? Wonders never cease. Nathan and Hannah as well are great. Again, very close friends with me, Andy, Scott and Lucy and everybody. Dan Burgess, photographer Dan Burgess. He's hilarious. He does all these weird, wacky voices and stuff. He should be an actor. That guy should be an actor. He's so funny. Whether it's Threads, Maniac Cop, or Society, he always brings, I'm always laughing my arse off. You can hear it on the podcast. I'm just laughing throughout because he's such a funny guy. But yeah, those are just, I can't name everybody. But if you've been on the show, I love you and thank you. You're all great in your own way. But these guys I have more of an affinity with and more, because every time I get somebody on, sometimes it's a bit like I might not have talked to them for a while, or I might not have seen them for a while. So there's always a bit of like, what's the rhythm of our, even tonight we have to find the rhythm to communicate with each other, which is fine. And that's part of the process. But I like that. And then when we find the comfortable spot, and then we're like, okay, now we're here. This is it. This is the show. And it's great. And we're enjoying it so much that it's going on way past the normal length yet again. But love it. It's good stuff. Did you have you got any other kind of favorites apart from guests? So moving on.
You've mentioned some of the things which again, I was doing some research and going back that came up for me. So, I'm with you. I've seen 2/3 of a Twilight movie, but the episode you guys did was was really interesting, and to hear somebody being passionate about something which I'd completely dismissed was great. It hasn't made me go back and watch them, if I'm honest. I feel like you guys covered it for me, but hearing it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. It was a really strong episode.
Yeah.
I always really enjoy your alternativity story series, so they're really good. And Maniac Cop 2 is the gem for me of those so far. What a movie you introduced me to there, and yeah, a great episode too.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I had a lot of fun with that episode. Yeah, because a few years ago, like before I started all this, I kind of was like, I'm so sick of watching Home Alone and It's a Wonderful Life and stuff. And again, they're all great, they're all good, but they're on every year, and I've seen them to death. Even Die Hard, which I love. I'm just like, what is out there that's kind of set around that time? And that is quite, and especially with the Halloween stuff, it's quite difficult to find lists and stuff where it's like, oh, this is set at that time or that time of year. That's a difficult list to pin down. But luckily, I've managed. IMDb's helped a lot with that because you can use keywords.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoy the alternativity stories, and again, they're weird and wacky and bizarre, and that's what I love. And the same with Shockphobia Fest as well. It's still more kind of standard Halloweeny stuff, but it's one I still really enjoy. I've actually written down some of my favorite ones. I think my favorite alternativity story we did was Anna and the Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. Which was the rom-com musical with I did.
Yeah, I discovered that this year.
Did you like it? Were you keen with it?
Absolutely loved it. Yeah, Tony put me onto it, so I watched it, and I hadn't listened to your episode on that from the year before because I wanted to see the film before
listening.
Absolutely. So then, of course, I had the opportunity to go back and listen to your podcast as well. So yeah, excellent movie, and you guys covered that really well.
Yeah, what was really nice about that as well is I because that particular year I hadn't really balanced all of them together. Like I recorded them and edited them all in the space of a week, all 4 episodes, and I was editing on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day to make sure they were out before the end of Christmas. So I put myself under a lot of pressure, which I'm trying. I didn't do last year or the year before. But this I tweeted about it on Christmas Day. And I tagged the producer, I tagged the director, and they both not only listened to the podcast, but tweeted us back and said how much they enjoyed it, which was amazing.
Oh, excellent.
Again, amazing, these kind of connections you can make over the interwebs. It's crazy. And Christmas Day, no less. They've got better things to do than respond to my tweet. What are they doing? Go have your Christmas pudding. Go have your Christmas dinner. No, they took the time. And that made that whole short period of time of recording, editing. That year, one of the recordings I did, hour and a half in full, got wiped, deleted, so we had to record it again. So that was even more pressure I put on myself and my fellow guest. Luckily, they were lovely and nice and would have me around again later in the week. But yeah, it just made all that stress and worry and, bollocks basically worth it all. And again, you listening and various other people, but yeah, that was one of my favorites. And I loved for Shockphobia Fest, I loved The Changeling. The Changeling is just a great movie. Like, it's out and out. It's just a great horror movie, a haunting kind of ghost story. And Dennis, he was like, "What?" I was like, "What do you want to do?" And he was like, "Let's do the Changeling for Halloween," which is very, very, again, very thinly. It's so thin. It's like, that it's linked to Halloween, but it is on those various lists that I found. So it still counts. But yeah, that's just a quality ghost story. Like, if you forget your Conjurings and your Insidiouses, go watch The Changeling. Not the Angelina Jolie one, the other one, the 1980 George C. Scott one. Fantastic movie. Do you have any other kind of favorites and stuff?
I do. I've got a couple more. So I think the episode where I knew, I've been listening and we've been communicating through Twitter, but the episode where I knew, this was a lifelong investment for me was Machine Girl versus Robo Geisha, which is, taking us back now to quite near the start.
Yeah.
When you did that, I think I'd already seen Machine Girl before. But yeah, so I went and watched Robo Geisha, and I just, I knew what I was in for from that kind of point onwards with you. and I knew it was something that I was into. So that's good. That was kind of, that's a memory for me of like, yeah, this guy knows his stuff, and I'm along for this ride with him.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. And again, those are like just two random films I kind of picked out. I was just like, yeah, let's just add them. And Andy, great sport that he is, comes on and just kind of, has his opinion. And we had a real laugh with those proper mental films.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want to kind of dig more into kind of more international films in the future, I think. Because and Japan's great for kind of cult films as well, for all that sort of stuff. Well, I mean, all the films are going to be, all the theme months this year are Japan films from Japan. So, I don't think I need to cover Japan for a long time after this year. We'll go to Korea, or we'll look at some French films or something. But yeah, that was definitely one of the more fun episodes I've had. I think it was the second episode with Andy as well. And it was just a blast. And it was probably maybe my third Clone Wars as well, which I think is one of my favorite formats to do as well. I think that's a fun format. And, as thinly connected as they are together, or as similar, I always have fun with them. Whatever the result is always fun. Yeah. You were talking about the Ewok Adventures. That's definitely my favorite of the Clone Wars, I think, that I've done. Okay. It's very recent, this one, but it's one that I have a lot of fondness for, because it was like my very own Angry Andy reviews. I've got a secret to tell you, actually. When he was doing the review for The Last Jedi, when he wrote his review for The Last Jedi, he said, I quote, he said, "I will never review any Star Wars media ever again."
Oh, okay.
I mean, look at all of his videos. That was when Last Jedi came out, so we're talking a few years ago now. And he said, "I'll never again review it," because he said he enjoyed it, and then people attacked him for it, and they kind of reassessed it, said he didn't enjoy it. I personally like The Last Jedi, but that's my opinion. But yeah, he went back on his word on that. I can tell you, he wouldn't have he wouldn't have a YouTube channel.
A little bit.
But I wanted to bring something to him. But it was like he said on the podcast, he was actually thinking about doing this anyway. So it was kind of a weird kind of, that's how close we've become. We're just the same person almost now.
It's a symbiotic relationship, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. What else have I got? Yeah, we talked about my favorite moment, which was with Gary. I think the best comic I reviewed was RoboCop versus Terminator. I think that's a quality comic. Best film is The Great Silence, which was part of the Western Month, and versus Django. I think that's just excellent filmmaking. And if you like westerns and you haven't seen that, you're missing a trick. Watch The Great Silence. Probably one of the best westerns I've ever seen. I've seen a few, not seen all of them. And who can watch all the westerns?
Well, yeah, exactly.
But it's one of the best I've ever seen. Can you guess what my least favorite film was?
No, probably not.
It was Meek's Cutoff, which is from the same Western.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hated that.
Considering its popularity as an episode.
Yeah, one of the most popular episodes. But and again, I try and be positive about these films, no matter what. I'm always trying to find the positive. Even in the Ewoks, I found more positivity in the Ewoks than I could, which was hard work, I'll tell you. But it was more
fair. That Caravan of Courage and Meek's Cutoff might be, that could have been a Clone Wars.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, in a way. Yeah, they're both kind of caravan.
Wagon training.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe I just don't like bloody caravans. Maybe that's the problem. But for me, the worst thing a film can be is boring, and that film was boring. Yeah. Really, really boring. I mean, we talk about it, and it's like minimalist and stuff. I remember Nathan was like, "Yeah, don't tag the director in this one," because we tore it apart. So that was funny. But yeah, it was just terrible, and we only did it for an hour because I was like, I hated it that much. I was like, I've said all I need to say about this. I was like, I don't have anything else to say for an hour and a half, so we'll just end it here. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I think my favorite opportunity the podcast has offered me was Malta Comic Con. That was amazing to go to Malta, to have the flight was paid for. No, sorry, I paid for the flight, but the accommodation was paid for. That was it. And I was looking after Ron Mars and Al Ewing and John Lehman, Gene Hart, all really good guys. I've got them on Facebook. Who knew I would have these great guys, these talent, this absolute talent on my Facebook page. You know, who knew? But there you are. And that was how much fun. Like one of the best holidays I've ever had. It was kind of a working holiday. I didn't get paid for it, but I had so much fun. Yeah, there was some problems and some issues, and some you know, Dennis wasn't very well for a lot of it. But you know, it was. I found it incredible and amazing, and such a great opportunity. But yeah. Yeah, I think it's just all it is now for me is just kind of like episodes that I quite like. Captain America: Fallen Sun I enjoyed. I think that was a good one because my granddad had just passed away, and I kind of linked the book to how I've been dealing with the stages of grief as well, because that's what the book is about. So that one was quite nice. I really enjoyed the slasher discussion with Dennis. Again, a very recent episode, but I think it's one of the strongest we've done. I haven't listened to that one yet because I haven't seen Peeping Tom, so I need to. I'm saving it. Okay, it's a good one. It's a quality one, promise you. It's one of my favorites. I thought Threads was a good one because it was a fucking disturbing and depressing film, but somehow me and Dan made that fun. And I guess obviously tragedy is intrinsically linked with comedy, so maybe that's why it was one of the episodes I probably laughed at the most. I loved, like, top 5 episodes are very popular. And I'm trying to balance out at the moment, try not to do as many of them because I did so many last year. But they're still quality. I still enjoy them. But I think the good and bad movie dogs was surprising. It's again totally random idea, totally random thing. Link that into Call of the Wild when that was being released. But again, one of my more popular episodes in my top 10 ever of popular episodes.
So you knew that would make it to 2 episodes as well.
Yeah, again, another one, just banging on. But it's in Andy's house, so it's, you know, I think that's just my prattling on place. I'm like, I feel comfortable here. I'm just going to talk. And Natalie was great on that episode. I need to have her on very soon again. She's fantastic, so great. I've talked about her enough. But yeah, I think I've mentioned all of them. Yes, yeah, pretty much. I think I've discussed all my kind of favorite moments and stuff. Is there anything else you want to mention before we carry on?
Yeah, I think just a couple that stood out to me as well. I mean, I agree with you. Top 5 are always good, and I particularly enjoyed your DC Elseworlds.
Oh, that was a good one, yeah.
And I remember getting in touch with you afterwards and saying, "Give me that list. I couldn't."
Yeah, no. Well, that was good though, because like that was a fair criticism to get, because you were like, you know, I don't want to listen to it again. You know, just tell me what the books are. And since then, I always put on what we talk about. Again, I think it was one of those where I'm like, I don't want to spoil the episode, but
of course.
But then, you know, if you guys are looking out and trying to buy them, then you need to know what they are. And again, if you know, I don't really do show notes because it's one of these shows that doesn't really. It'd be quite hard for me to do show notes just because it's just pure ramble, pure prattle for an hour and a half or longer. So I'd struggle to do that. But yeah, no, I thought that was a fantastic idea from you, and I will continue to do that from now on.
Good, because then I can continue to grow my list.
Absolutely.
And the last one that stood out to me, because we had a watch along, was So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yes, we did. Yes. Bloody hell. Yeah.
So that's a very selfish, personal one. But
no, that's good though.
That's good fun.
Yeah, that's good though, because I never did like a live tweet thing before. So that, and you guys were like, "Oh, I really need to watch that." And was it you and Scott from 20th Century Geek?
I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, the three of us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just the three of us. So I did try sometime later trying to do a watch along of RoboCop, but nobody joined me. So it's just me tweeting on my own, which and I was like, because someone was like, let's do a Zoom, let's do a quiz and stuff, and I was like, no, my fans need to have this watch along, this live tweet of RoboCop. And then he was like, he keeps likes to remind me, like, do you remember when you did that live tweet and nobody joined you? I was like, yeah.
Thanks for bringing it up.
I actually really enjoyed that, and it was quite interesting because I was watching it for the first time while doing watch along, and we were kind of a little out of sync, I think. So it was kind of interesting to see what was coming up, or what you guys were referencing, or how late. Yeah. I think one of you was behind me, and then one of you was in front of me. So it was kind of it was like a weird time warp of watching it. But I think I don't often do like comedy films. I always feel like I'm sometimes just telling the jokes, but worse.
Yeah.
and there's certain films where I was thinking about doing. There was a noir kind of film that I watched called Devil in a Blue Dress with Denzel Washington, which is an amazing film, and I do recommend it. But I was like, I want to do a podcast on it, but I feel like if I do it, I'm just going to tell you the mystery. I'm going to uncover the mystery for you and just tell you what the plot is. That's all I'm going to do. So I never ended up doing that. So there are certain ones where I'm like, I should probably do more comedy stuff, but I want to find more kind of, again, forgotten comedies or cult comedies from years gone by, and not necessarily the successful comedies, which also means that maybe they're not that funny, they're not that good. So
it's a difficult genre to cover in that way, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's a tricky one, but I did really enjoy that. And Josh again was our co-host on Nerdify. He's a really good lad. I need to talk. I haven't talked to him for a while, so I need to kind of chat with him and see how he is. Reach out to people. That's what I need to do more of this year as well. Reach out and get back in touch with people. But yeah, no, that was a really fun episode. I enjoyed that. And again, a very intelligent guy, and I like talking to intelligent, passionate people on this show. Yes. So we have our questions from our listeners and former guests. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
I am ready.
So I'll go first.
Please, yeah.
So this is from one of our Patreon members like yourself, who continue to contribute on Patreon. I really appreciate it. Again, I don't really make any money off this apart from Patreon. So that's always good. And I appreciate, however, how much anybody can give me. So it's all good stuff. I'm going to try and do a bit more on Patreon as well this year, try and a bit more interactive on it and stuff. I'm used to it now, so I'm going to push on. Anyway, Paul Meller, friend of Dennis, good friend of Dennis and mine. He has 3 questions for both of us. So we'll go with you first, and then I'll answer it as well. What is your earliest comic book related memory?
Oh, I think so my first experience with Tony, we spoke about this a little bit. I've got a brother that's 8 years older than me. I was born in 1980. So you can imagine he's like peak age in the 80s for a lot of the big wave of, kind of comics coming through. And I used to sneak into his room when he was out and read his comics, which I still don't think he knows to this day. I carefully unwrap the cellophane and, the envelope and take them out and read them. So yeah, there's a couple which stick in my mind from back then. And one was what I chose to do with Max because it means so much to me, was the Wolverine Japanese, Frank Miller, Claremont. I just poured over that over and over and over and over that. Definitely too young than I should have done. That really stands out. Yeah. So that's probably the one which means the most from that kind of age, because it's wrapped up in this kind of story that I've got in my head as well of, it being somewhat, breaking the rules in order to experience it and made it a much more memorable experience as well.
Well, my answer is actually quite similar. It's not my earliest comic book memory, but it's the one that has had the most profound effect on me, I think. When I was young, I was in Toys R Us, and while I was there, they had these several kind of packs of multi-issue comics. So they're just basically like a grab bag. They just chuck loads of random issues in there, maybe a couple of issues in the run, following sequentially. But I picked up one. And I picked it up because they had embossed covers, and it was the full story. So it was a mini series of 4 or 5 issues, and it was Frank Miller's The Man Without Fear. So it's basically Daredevil Year 1. And again, I should not have been reading that at that age. It's got prostitutes being pushed out of windows, sex, Elektra jabbing her hand into somebody's heart like a knife. It's insane. And John Romita Jr. does the artwork, and I actually met him at a London Super Comic Con, and I gave him this book to sign, and I said, this made me become a comic book reader. And he said, you know what, I'm glad you brought this, because this is probably my best work.
Oh wow.
So he was very gracious, very nice guy. He didn't do sketches on the day, but he was doing signatures, and again, very nice. But yeah, that was a great moment to that was that full circle for me. But, Frank Miller's later work is debatable, but when he's on point, he's great.
Agreed.
So Paul's second question is what is your favorite comic book storyline or saga?
There's a couple. So I was saying there's a period when I was away for a little while, and there's a couple that drew me back in that jump immediately to mind. So Why the Last Man is amazing from start to finish. And that kick-started me falling back in love with comics, I think. That's a really big one for me. I really like the X-Men, like Messiah Complex. There's a couple of them. There's like Messiah Complex, and there's Messiah War, and then Second Coming, and then there's a run which I really enjoy, which is Cable and Baby Hope, like leaping through time, with Bishop chasing them. That's one which I don't hear come up very often on a kind of list. I really enjoy that as well.
You've got very good taste. You've got very good taste.
Oh, well, thank you. So I think, in terms of one which maybe is less spoken about and one which really drew me back to comics, they'd be the two that jump immediately to mind.
For me, I think my favorite ever comic book storyline, again, going back to Frank Miller, going back to Daredevil, it's Born Again. Like Born Again for me is the quintessential comic. Like, Dark Knight Returns is, it's a possible future. It's set very far away. There's lots of kind of more, kind of crazier elements, kind of sci-fi elements. But for me, Born Again is just pure kind of character. When Daredevil finally gets back in his red suit, he's earned it, worth it. It's almost like the first series of Daredevil on Netflix, where he earns that suit, and then when we finally gets into it, you're like, yes, this is my jam. But I'm going to go like Why the Last Man is probably my second favorite comic ever, but my first is probably Preacher by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, which is, I mean, I need to reread it, to be honest, because it's been so many years. I think I'm ready to reread it. So I tried rereading it a few years back, and I was like, I can remember everything. I want to be surprised again.
Well, I'm with you, because I just reread all that last year.
So good.
Yeah, and it lost none of its brilliance. Absolutely.
Next question. He said, what Marvel movie are you most excited to see in Phase 4, and why is it Thor: Love and Thunder?
It may well be in terms of movies. It may not be wrong, to be fair. I don't think it's the thing I'm most excited about, but I can't think of a movie that's coming out that I'm more excited about in terms of big screen stuff. Miss Marvel was the thing that I'm really hyped for. I love that run of comics. I was drawn to them through... I'd read all the Miles Morales stuff, and then they were launching Champions, and she was part of that. So I wanted to go back and see what her journey was. So I'm really excited about the Miss Marvel show. If they do that right, it'll be something really quite special. But yeah, he's right. It probably is Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think Love and Thunder is going to have the best of both worlds. You've got Chris Hemsworth coming back. You've got Natalie Portman coming back. You've got fucking Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher.
Right, yeah.
Who is a fucking great villain, has got a great backstory. Part of the kind of Jason Aaron run before, which I think this is going to be heavily inspired by, with Jane Foster becoming Thor. I think you're going to have all the fun that Taika Waititi had in the last one. I hope Korg comes back, because I love Korg. And I think they're just going to have a lot of fun. It looks very 80s inspired. I said, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy in it as well. Like, what's not to love? I hope we see a bit more kind of Kirby stuff as well, Jack Kirby-esque designs and things. You're absolutely right, Paul. It's the one I'm looking forward to the most. I will say, on the DC side of things, I'm really looking forward to The Suicide Squad, as I think it's called, by James Gunn, because I think that is going to be something special as well. That's all of his questions. He's just got a couple of comments. So I've asked people for questions, but I've also asked them to answer these questions from me. So I've said, who are some of your favorite guests, episodes, moments, topics, or forms of podcast? Paul has said, all your guests are fantastic, but I loved Tomb of Dracula and the Rise of Marvel Horror with Dennis Whittle. That got me into those books. I'm gradually reading the graphics in between my regular books. Also, I loved The Long Halloween with Dan Keatis, and I Come in Peace with Andy. And your top 5 episodes are also really fun. That's a good selection of episodes there with a good range of guests.
I Come in Peace, was that the Killer Kid movie?
No, I Come in Peace is it's the one me and Andy did last Christmas. and it's basically a kind of shit Predator movie with Dolph Lundgren.
Oh yeah.
So that one. But again, there's things to like about it.
The shit Predator movie.
The shit Predator movie. That's how Andy would describe it.
There's a few of those.
True. with Predator in the title. No difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I also asked the question, what would you like to see any more of, or do you have any constructive criticism on how to change or update the podcast? Paul says, I think a section of what you and your guests are currently reading and watching would recommend to listeners would be interesting. Yeah, that sounds good. Also, a heads up for the movie and comics deep dive episodes would be cool. I often will try and watch the films before listening, as to avoid spoilers if I haven't seen them. So yeah, that's what we mentioned that earlier, Paul, and I'm taking that on board. And I will telegraph everything I'm doing just to make sure you guys are aware. And yeah, if you want to jump on it, or if you want to jump on it afterwards, I apologize about the Clone Saga. That's not going to happen anytime soon now. But you are going to get something else coming up very shortly, but as a replacement. I'm sure you'll be happy about that. So the other question was, what do you enjoy most about the podcast and what keeps you coming back? I think the depth of knowledge around the subject matter is awesome, and the obscure but brilliant selections. I don't know how you find these films and books, and how you recall all the facts. You do a great job. Congrats on your 100th episodes. Thank you very much for your questions, Paul, and your answers to those questions. They were great. Keep on supporting us on Patreon. Well, us. I say us. I get the money. It's for me. But yeah, now I've passed over some comments over to you, Jack, from a few people that we know on the Twitterati, in the Twitterverse. Have you got, who's the first person who's answered all these questions?
First up, I've got Tony. So Tony Farina from Comics Emotion and Indie Comics Spotlight. What are the top 5 lists you'd want to change, or are you like ride or die with your final decisions? Like, have your thoughts changed on those lists at all?
If I was going to swap any out, it would be the stuff. It'd be the stuff that I've already included in the honourable mentions. But I do a lot of research. I tend to watch a lot of new stuff or read a lot of new stuff when I do these top 5s, because I don't want to kind of reel off the regular stuff, the obvious answers. A lot of the time, I like to dive a little deeper. So I do the research. So I'm pretty solid on my top 5s, unless I mention it in the podcast itself. I'd say ride or die on the top 5s.
I like the phrasing for this as well. It's good. And for me, he asked me if there are any of your top 5s that I disagreed with. So he's looking for a bit of contention here, I think.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. And I don't know. I had a scroll through and I had to listen to a couple of them again yesterday to check them out. I thought there were a couple that I remembered, particularly where you were asking for feedback. I thought, oh, what did I say to those ones? And I think generally we're not a million miles away. We're never going to be 5 for 5 matched, I don't think. I think the one I was in least agreement with was your video game movie list, because I only had one pick, which either you or the guest, which was Nathan, wasn't it?
Nathan, that's right, yeah.
I only had Mortal Kombat in my top 5, so really? I think that's the furthest away we've ever been. But I mean,
it's a divisive list, I think.
Finding 5 that are good for a start is pretty tricky.
Well, yeah, we even said that on the show. We were like, "This is actually quite a tricky list to make." But yeah, that's fine. I think that one was kind of like, this is stuff I've seen, and this is stuff I'd managed to consume in the time, and I was like, "This'll do." I kind of that one. So maybe that one I would. Again, there was a lot I hadn't seen. There's a lot of these video game films I haven't seen, so that might be the reason. But yeah, maybe that one. If I had to pick, maybe that's probably the one I did. Maybe arguably did the least research on. I think before doing it, it was kind of it was Nathan's idea, and he kind of had a gap in his schedule, and we just went for it. I was like, right, these kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that might explain why we're not exactly in line with your choices, but fair enough.
I'm hardly an expert here. I think this really is one of kind of what's your opinion on the best of a bad bunch?
Yeah, absolutely. So was that all of Tony's questions, or has it got some more?
That was his questions. Yeah. in terms of his thoughts on what some of his favourite moments were, yeah, he said the Denny O'Neil retrospective was lovely. I miss him, and he was such a huge part of my childhood. So he really enjoyed getting to dive back into that with you.
Yeah, that was a really special one as well for me, because again, it was like somebody I admire and they've gone. So yeah, it was nice to kind of, because he changed comics, probably as much as Stan Lee did. So I think that was a good one to do. So yeah, I enjoyed that one. Yeah, it's a good shout.
In terms of so it's like constructive criticism, and if there are any alterations is next, isn't it?
That's right.
He said he honestly doesn't see that you need to change anything. He absolutely loves your top 5 list. They're his favorite, and the Secret Defenders because he likes hearing, hearing people argue passionately for what they like. He says it's a ton of fun to hear them argue that. So yeah, he's very happy with what you're producing, Dan. And then he says he keeps coming back because he feels the topics you cover are not boring, but fascinating. Particularly when you cover something which he knows nothing about, and then he feels intrigued to go and find it. So I'm sure this will be a common theme we're going to find. He says art is important, and you do a great job of highlighting the kind of art that is often derided but should not be treated with such contempt. Nice,
very nice. It's almost
He's a man of good words, is Tony.
I was going to say it's like Shakespearean dialogue. Those are some great comments. Thank you, Tony, for everything. Thank you for supporting, sharing, retweeting, all the stuff you do. And I'm going to have you on very soon. I intend to have all my Patreon guests on this year at some point, so that'll be good. Paul as well. Scott's coming on very soon, and a few other people. So yes, excellent. Very good. Well, I think you've got Andy and Max, haven't you?
I have.
You do. So I'll do Ben Crampton. So this is a question for us both again. If you take one comic book character who is yet to be translated to screen, who would it be and why? So I've already discussed this. So I said MODOK. What would yours be, Jack?
That hasn't been adapted. Oh, I really randomly like the character of Phantom X. Around my sort of getting back into comics period in the mid, I hate all the words for this, either the mid noughties or the mid aughts. None of them sound good, but around that time, Carl and Yost did an amazing run on X-Force, which I loved terribly. It's escaping me who picked up the next one, because then that's when Phantom X came in. But I had no knowledge of him as a character at all before I started reading that run. And the things that happened with that character over the next few years were fascinating and hilarious, with him splitting off into his 3 personalities and the relationships he formed within that. I'm not sure Disney are up for him as a character.
Maybe not.
Particularly not that storyline. He's kind of in the Deadpool mold, I suppose, isn't he? And they are going to do Deadpool, so who knows? I think he's a really fun, interesting character.
Yeah.
So maybe he'd be my pick.
I think I will mention another character because you brought up the X-Men. I'm a big fan of Dr. Nemesis. Are you familiar with Dr. Nemesis?
Fedora.
Fedora. Surgical mask, which is quite fitting at the moment. He's a wonderful character. If you haven't read X Club, pick that up because it's a hilarious book, absolutely hilarious, and he's the lead character. And there's no party like an X Club party, is there? So,
I like it.
But yeah, it's a really good book. I've got it on Comixology, and I may even do a podcast on it. It's that good. So that's a good one. Thank you, Ben. If you didn't know, Ben is the attention-seeking geek on YouTube and on Instagram. So go and check out his YouTube channel. He's currently doing kind of weekly videos, and they're really, really good. I've been a guest on a couple. He's also doing a Red Nose Day charity live stream, which I'm going to be a part of. But I'll share that when it occurs. Should happen in the next couple of weeks. Next week? Yeah. Anyway, this is out in May. This is like we're talking Voices from the past.
That was out 2 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. We did it. It's already done. It's all done. All these podcasts we're talking about, all the upcoming ideas, everything, it's all done. It's dusted. Go listen to him. So he says, so this is the second question was like, what do you enjoy? What's your favorite stuff? I always enjoy how natural the conversation flows with you when I come on, and how I get the chance to delve into subjects deeper than I ever would have, or probably would do again. So thank you. That's a lovely comment. His criticism would be, I think, recording the conversation so we have a visual for YouTube channel. For a YouTube channel would be great. Again, good comment, good criticism. Working on it. 4. So 4 was just, what was 4 again? It was.
It's.
Oh, what keeps you
coming back?
That's the one. So you are the key selling point of the podcast: professional, charismatic, engaging, and honest. So I appreciate those comments, Ben. Thank you for getting back to me. Great stuff. Yeah. Who's next for you, Jack? Who have we got?
Max will be next for me.
Max Byrne.
So we've got 3 questions from him. Good. So we've got, if either of you could do a podcast interview with anybody alive or dead, who would you choose?
Stan Lee or Denny O'Neil, I think, because they're gone. And we've mentioned them already. So I'd go with them.
And sorry, Max, no big spoilers here and surprises here either. It's got to be Bruce Campbell for me. That guy would have so much to say, and he's led such an interesting life. And within the the fringes and the worlds which we're talking about that you cover so well, Dan, like some of the films and some of the projects he's been involved in would be just fascinating to hear about.
Yeah. I love a good horrible actor story, because I'm full of them. I've got a ton of them. I can reel them off. The trouble, the acting careers and the problems and the issues and the falling outs and stuff. I could list you all those. And I think if anybody's got stories like that, Bruce Campbell, he would be an absolute delight. Great question. Next one.
If you could appear in the MCU or DCEU, what character would you like to play? It must be a character that hasn't been done in those universes so far.
Well, I like to think I've got a massive head, so I think I should use that. And I'm going to pull out the obscure Teen Titans villain, Simon. So that is Psimon. Get it? Because he's a psychic. And he has an exposed brain. Like he's got a see-through kind of plastic dome over his head. So I would use my giant noggin that's full of useless knowledge and play that character, because I think he's pretty weird and creepy in the Young Justice cartoon, and I really enjoyed that take on the character was good.
That is not a character I know of, but sounds good.
Put it on the list.
It's on the list. See, that's what's that? Half a dozen from tonight.
And there'll be many, many more, many episodes more. Don't you worry.
I think I said it at the top. I'm not much of an actor and a performer, but I mean, a character I absolutely love. And I'm sorry, Max. He's not been done, but he's not been done in the MCU, so I feel like I can get away with it. Is Silver Surfer, Norrin Rad?
Oh yes.
I'd love to go on cool galactic adventures pretending to be the Silver Surfer. That would be awesome. Particularly from the slot Our Red Run from a few years ago, which were really good, where he was like boogieing around on his board.
It's kind of like a Doctor Who inspired.
With his female companion. Absolutely, yeah. Max did say if we wanted to, we could fan cast it. So I don't know if you are not allowed to play Simon, who would you cast?
I don't know. No, I'm going to fight for that role. It's going to be mine.
It has to be yours. You're going to go Rocky on us, and
I'll do whatever I need to do to get that role. I'll fight for it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Who would you cast as Norrin Rad? That's a tricky character to cast.
It is. I just fell back on the actor I always fall back on at the moment, because I think he's amazing in everything. So I picked Dan Stevens.
Yes, actually, that would be really good.
I think he has the kind of. He has that. A lot of people I think have thought about Keanu Reeves for the role because of the whole Bill and Ted surf dude. Yeah. But I think Dan Stevens could pull that off, but he could also pull off the range which Silver Surfer needs to have too.
Or you could have said me. I'll do it.
But I just thought, I didn't know about cross casting across the two universes, so I thought maybe we should.
Fair enough. No, that's fair. What else has Max got to say?
That's all I've got from you. So I think I've only got the questions from him. I don't know if he has got some comments as well.
I've got them here, so not to worry. So he does have another question. He said, "What inspired you to start the podcast?"
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Carry on.
Don't worry, I'll go with that. So he said, what's inspired you to start the podcast? I say that I was looking for another creative outlet that wasn't acting. I thought, what better to do is something I have had fun with in the past, I have experience with somewhat. And then why not combine two of the things I love most, which is cult movies and comic books, and celebrate them in a way that gets, people loving them as much as I do. So this fulfills my creative need at the moment. I'm not saying that I won't go back to acting maybe for a little bit or do like a little one-off thing. But for me, I get much more enjoyment out of this. And obviously much more kind of, not that I wouldn't get any love for my performances and stuff, but it's nice to have it. And opening night, people are just going to kiss your ass. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to kiss my ass. You found the podcast, you like it, you enjoy it, and and that's why you're here, and that's why you've stuck with it for 100 episodes. And that's what I love. It's a different beast, but that's exactly why I did it, created it, came up with it, and I'm so lucky to have so many great, intelligent friends I've made throughout my life that will come on and help me with this. It's amazing. So yeah, that's what inspired me, and other podcasts, fellow podcasts, Nerds Chatting, Jack and the Geek Stalk, all those guys in our small and safe Twitter bubble that we're in. I don't like to veer too much outside of that bubble personally, because it can be a pretty nasty place, Twitter, if you go to the wrong corner. So yeah, definitely that was the reason. But what inspired you to do Season's Greetings?
I don't know if I'd ever really thought about it, to be honest. I was happy being a lurker and listening, and then all it took was the merest mention of Buffy, and I was there. If I have a true first love, it is she. But now I'm into it. Like I say, my brain is already spinning on other things that I might be interested in doing. So, I'm really grateful to the people who've given me an early platform. Tony was the first person I was on with a couple of times, and then Max invited me on. Now I'm on with you. So, yeah, I don't think I would have done it without having that little push from somebody else. So I really appreciate that. And we'll see where it goes from here, I suppose.
Yeah. Like I said, future's bright. So excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Onwards and upwards. So another comment from Max was, what's your favorite stuff? What do you like? He loves the top fives. Keep them coming, he says. So yeah.
They're proving popular.
They are proving popular, and I basically sacked him off. I don't want to do anymore. I've done enough. I think it's the amount of research that I feel I have to do on them. I think sometimes it's like, so I've got to come up with 5. So I've at least got to watch or read 10 things, and then I've got to manage it. So I think sometimes that's it seems a bit much. But I will. Don't worry, we're doing them. They are being done. They're not totally been excised. I just want to kind of balance them out with the other formats of the podcast. Criticism wise, he says the podcast is just fine. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. And 4, what brings you back? He says, I enjoy the humor mixed with knowledge. Perfect formula for any podcast. And I'll take that to my grave.
Lovely.
I'll put it on my gravestone. So we've also got you've also got Andy's as well. Yeah, got Andy's comments.
I have. Yeah. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, let's go with those.
All right. So his question was, if you could have any guests on the show, who would it be and why? Is this similar to the dead and living one? It was a bit, wasn't it? A bit, but I mean, let's go with living, because you've done dead. So
I have done dead.
Cover off some new names.
I think I'd go with Kevin Smith, because I've always enjoyed his podcasts. I've always enjoyed the stuff he talks about. Again, he's a cult filmmaker, but then he also loves comic books as well. He's passionate. Like, he cried recently at WandaVision. He clearly loves the stuff. So I'd love to just chat about him, about kind of filmmaking, his beginning, and then, comics in general, which I'm sure he would love to talk about. And which is what I found when I was interviewing most of the comic book people. They don't want to talk about their own shit. They want to talk about, the Kirby Silver Surfer run, or the, the Thor Kirby run and stuff like that. They want to talk about the comics they love as opposed to the comics they're doing, because it's work. It's not necessarily as fun, but sometimes it is. But yeah, definitely Kevin Smith.
You need a 10-parter for that, though.
God, both of us are just blab constantly. Too much, far too much. But yeah, so that was his question. What's his comment? I
just wanted to say quickly.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, if we move on just quickly, I just think we've touched on this before. I think I don't know what your thoughts are on this, because I know you said that you want to keep yourself in that kind of little window. But what I think, if I was to see something from you, and it ties in with what Andy's asked here, which is what I thought was a place to put it in, was I think you talking to creators would be really interesting. But I think I'd be interested in seeing you talk to those creators that are operating in kind of the indie world. So, somebody like, I've just picked a few names of things that I've read recently, because, they come to the top of my head. So like James Tynion IV, who's doing like Something is Killing the Children. Or like Tony put me onto Coffin Bound. So Dan Waters, somebody like that would be really fascinating to hear what you'd get out of them. But then also, why not hear you talk to, Scott Snyder or Ed Brubaker, or, why not imagine that's where it would go? I think they are writers who, as you just said about Kevin Smith, are passionate about not just what they do, but about how they've got there and where they've come from and who's inspired them. And I think they'd be impressed by your breadth of knowledge, I think, and it'd be a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, I can certainly try. I think that's, like you said, I think that's something that might be in the offing, because after the WrestleTopia podcast, because they contacted me, which I thought, through the website, no less, as well. And they were just kind of like, hey, do you want to, review this book and interview us? And I was like, yeah, whichever one you want, I'll do it. And that was great. That was a great opportunity, and it came out really well. I enjoyed that. Obviously, I was helping promote the book. So obviously, can't be that critical on it, but it was actually genuinely, I'm not lying and saying it was genuinely a fun book to read. And these guys are lovely, and we had similar interests and stuff. So I might branch out. I might see if I can maybe just send them a quick message and see if they'd be interested. The worst they will say is no, or they're too busy. But
Absolutely.
I'm absolutely, well up for it. I also don't want to lose, I don't want it to be all kind of creators.
Of course.
Stuff. Again, I don't want to lose what we've established already. So still have my friends come on, or people I know, fellow podcasters. I don't want to lose that community. But again, I think I might. Yeah, I think I'll try that and see if any of them get back to me, and we'll see what happens.
Keep that special for us little Patreons, and that will make people. That'll certainly get people interested in helping out in that area.
Absolutely, yeah, that might be an idea. Certainly, I need to do something extra, definitely. So, what else did Andy say?
So he says some of his favourites were Clone Wars, because you always find hidden gems, and I think we know what he's referring to here. Some that should remain hidden. Yeah.
The Ewok
little furry friends.
Yeah, those little furry bastards he loves so much on the forest moon of Endor.
Yeah.
But he enjoyed it. He had a good time. I had a good time.
Oh, we had a great time.
We had a great time. But yeah, that's part of Andy's charm, is no matter what he watches, he'll give it a go. And as Natalie once put it, you two don't half watch some shit. Which is true. It's totally true. But yes, absolutely right. I do enjoy the Clone Wars. I think I tend to do it with him more often than not. I don't know why. It just seems to happen that way. I think again, he's one of these people that's kind of, if I can find two similar films, he'll watch them and we'll do it. But there might be some people that don't necessarily want to compare certain films, but he's always keen. So yeah, no, excellent. Yeah, I'm glad he enjoys them. Yeah, and I enjoy him being on them as well.
In terms of alterations, he doesn't think you need to alter anything, but he is going down the same route that we've had before. He would like to see you branch out into YouTube.
I am thinking of maybe possibly doing something quite similar to Andy, the way he has his format, and maybe just doing like kind of mini reviews, possibly. Maybe like, if I can do mini reviews, if it's possible. Just kind of maybe 10 minutes or something. And maybe that would be something I ask on Patreon. What would you like me to review? and then I'll put it on a YouTube video, or we'll see. But again, it's all in the offing. Stuff like this is in the offing. So that's good. Yeah, excellent.
And you guys did a couple together, didn't you? That worked really well. You did a couple of Nick Cages, didn't you?
Yeah, we did The Rock and we did Rambo as well. And
that's right. Yeah.
Oh, I tell you, no, you're right. We did Primal as well. That was at his house. The other two we did over Zoom. But they were great fun. I always love being on Angry Andy reviews as well. Always just as fun as us getting together on my channel. It's always great. Quality human being, Andy. As angry as he gets, deep down, deep down, Angry Andy Knowles is a big softie. And he even sent me some early birthday presents as well.
Oh.
He sent me a couple of Spider-Man figures, which are like the retro ones that I used to own as a kid, and now they brought out more modern ones, but they're the same versions I used to own. So that was weird. I don't know if he knew I owned those. I don't think he did, but it's a nice, touching gift. So thank you again, Angry Andy.
So really, he is just as cuddly as an Ewok deep down.
He is, and also as deadly.
And the last thing he said, so what do you enjoy the most and what keeps you coming back? So he said you have top-rate and wide-ranging knowledge, and it's mixed with your casual and humorous flair. You're very sincere, and you're accommodating to all your guests, which he sees as a talent in itself.
Wow, that's very nice. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. And I to be honest, I'm pretty bad at taking compliments. So this is very hard for me. I'm like quivering in my chair. People are being too nice to me. Something's going to go wrong. I genuinely appreciate all the stuff everyone's saying. Especially from listeners and from guests. It's all amazing, and really it touches me in a special place, which is my heart. Nowhere else. Nowhere else. What else? I've got a couple, haven't I? Okay, so I've got Dan Keatis. So he's asking a question. He said, if you could have any celebrity on your podcast, who would it be and why? So I said Kevin Smith, so I think that still applies. Would it be the same for you, Jack? What celebrity would you have on? Would it be Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I would think I would spontaneously combust, if I'm honest. Noah Hawley, I think, would be a fascinating guy. So showrunner for Legion and Fargo, and he did Lucy in the Sky last year, the movie.
Oh, he was going to do the Doctor Doom movie, wasn't he?
Yeah, so I think he's a really interesting guy. I don't know if he's a celebrity, but he's a creator that I think would be an interesting guy to talk to.
He's a famous person. That counts.
Yeah, quite. Yeah. So that's somebody else I think I'd be interested in.
Yeah. So I asked Dan, what's his favorite moments, guess, anything? He said, Secret Defenders. I love people vociferously defending misunderstood classics that they love. I especially love the Spice World episode for that reason. Sorry, I can't remember the guest's name. That's Gary Dixon, and how the film helped him with coming out as gay. Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite moments as well, Dan. So good choice. 3, any criticisms or things you'd change? Can't think of anything off the top of my head. So that's good. I'll take that. No criticism.
Yeah.
No criticism is good criticism. So number 4, what keeps you coming back? I love how deep you get into the subject matter and shine a spotlight on forgotten or misunderstood classics. Thank you very much, Dan. Those are great comments and questions. I will definitely have you on again very soon. Dan actually wants to do a Clone Wars on Batman versus Superman and Civil War, which I think will be a very interesting episode. He's got all of his thoughts ready. He knows exactly what he's going to say. So I'm going to try and get him on very soon for that. And that'll be a very divisive one. Maybe it's not going to be in time for the Zack Snyder cut release, but we'll do it. We'll do it sometime soon. So I'm sure that'll kick off some Twitterati storm. I'm sure.
Yeah, I bet. That's another behemoth of an episode as well.
I know. My God. So I also spoke to, I asked Dan Burgess to see if he could answer the questions. He's not answered. He's not asked a question, but he's basically just made a general comment about all the questions. So a general answer to all these: your enthusiasm and knowledge for anything you're discussing shines through. As I've said before, you go for the deep cuts. You can discuss something that'll make your listener want to dig out and find that thing to watch, read, and listen for themselves, which isn't as easy as it sounds. Being a guest is fun, and you're a superb host. Let's be honest, you're just awesome. Well, you are awesome too, Dan. And I've got him coming up soon. And again, these will be out probably before the 100th episode, if not, definitely. We're going to talk Caligula.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the controversial film Caligula. So that'll be an interesting, and that's going to be on a new format, which I'm going to talk about a little later. But still quite similar as well. So we got Tony's questions, didn't we? We had Tony.
Done Tony, yeah.
Tony. Let's see. I've got a question from Rasheen. So I'll just bring that up when my iPad isn't frozen for some reason. Technical difficulties. Here we go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is just...
It had to happen once.
I know, right? It's probably saying, like, why are you still doing this podcast? Why has this gone on for so... Why are you keeping Jack up all night just to do this podcast? We're almost at the end, guys. We're on the home stretch. Here we go. Rasheen's question was... Eventually, there it is. If you could have any guest on the show, dead or alive, who would it be? This is a very popular question, but we have answered it. I said Denny O'Neil and Stan Lee and Kevin Smith if they're alive, and you've answered it as well before. What did you say again to those?
So Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell.
I spontaneously combusted when Sarah Michelle Gellar came on, and yeah, Noah Hawley.
Noah Hawley, that was it. Excellent choices. Okay. Do you have any left, or was that everybody for you?
That's everybody for me.
Yeah, cool. I've got one more, and we're almost on the home stretch. I think I'm going to need a little help from you to do this.
Oh, I'll try.
So this is from Idle Cannibal, who's again a long fan, long-term fan, and a friend of Dennis as well, and Paul. She asks, how many Samuel Jackson movies can I name in 30 seconds?
Oh, goodness.
Do you have a timer?
Yeah, I'll put it on.
Let's do it. It's more of a challenge than a question, I think.
Sure.
Okay, let's see what I can do.
All right, you ready? I'll give you a count in. 3, 2, 1, go.
Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3, Pulp Fiction, The Hateful Eight, Arena, Snakes on a Plane, Jackie Brown, Jumper, Avengers, Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man Homecoming, Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Civil War. Was he in that one?
All right.
Oh man, why didn't I start with
15?
Why didn't I start with the Marvel ones? Why didn't I just start there?
To be fair, for the first 10 seconds, you were on 1 a second. That was pretty impressive.
Oh, 15. So that was 15.
15's good.
Yeah, that's all right. I think that's good. That's like
every other second. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. And for my brain, has been as slow as it is. So I'm all right with that. I'm happy with that. I think
very impressive at this time of night after a long taxing brain session. Yeah.
Yeah. I won't ask you to do it because you'll just steal all my answers. So there
absolutely, yeah. Then I'll get one more. And
yes, but back to Idle Cannibal. That's not a real name, just her username. But Idle Cannibal says, funnily enough, I really love the horror episodes, but my favorites have been the ones where you talk about lesser known comic book villains. So top 5 Batman villains or the underrated Spider-Man villains I did with Sean Mason. Again, lovely guy, brilliant actor, guy I've worked with before. So yeah, I love bringing it up. I love comic book villains. That's my go-to. I think there's often comic book stories I will only read or will go to because I know that villain is in them. I love Kang the Conqueror, for example. I will hunt down every alternate Kang story there is and read it because I just think he's an amazing character and can't wait for him to be in the MCU. He's coming. What was I saying? Yeah, comic book villains and the controversial comics episode. That was so interesting and informative, as well as fun to listen to. Yeah, it was quite a controversial list me and Dennis pulled out. A lot of dark history to comic books. Not as woke as sometimes they are or were. Like I think comic books were more woke, in the 60s, 70s, introducing all these characters and stuff. Before films and TV started doing that. But then there's also, the dark side of comic books as well. And I'm glad we kind of tackled that, because I think that's important to do, and to look at those horrible errors in judgment and creativeness and being creative. Yeah, that was a strong episode. I think the audio quality wasn't the best, but I did really enjoy doing that and discussing that with Dennis. And again, fountain of knowledge, another fount of knowledge is Dennis, like you said earlier. So yeah, great episode to bring up. So you know what, I love this, that people are pulling their favorite episodes, because it reminds me, and I go, yeah, that was good. That was a good one.
I've forgotten that one actually, and that was a good one. Yeah, that was a good pull.
That's, there's been so many over almost 4 years. I'm forgetting how good some of them were, and I'm like, I was there. I did them. I remember them. I sometimes listen to them back just to check the audio quality, or just to kind of say, you know what, I enjoyed that one. Let me relive that. Yeah, it's fun. So criticism wise, she said, so possibly things more related to media like horror games or board games. So she'd like to see more video games and board games. That'd be interesting. I'm not sure how. I mean, I could do a top 5 horror video games. I guess I could do something like that. Not sure about board games. I'd have to have someone to play them with for a start, so that might be a bit tricky. I do kind of want to get back to the comic Terrys that we used to do, like me and Dan used to do, where we watched the animated thing. Because Dennis is in my bubble, I could potentially do them with Dennis at the moment. So maybe we'll go back and do some of those kind of animated movies or trilogy of episodes that I can fit in within one episode. So I might go back to that. So yeah, well, I'll see if I can look into. I mean, again, board games are not necessarily my forte, but it's something I can definitely try. I know I have friends that are very board game heavy, and that's their kind of niche. So maybe there's something there. So yeah, I'll definitely take that under advisement.
If you could see his face, listeners, the cogs are turning. You can see it happening behind the eyes.
The ideas, the possibilities are endless. The problem is I just can't fit all the stuff in a month or in a year or what have you. I'll do my best. Like, there's so many guests as well that I wish I could have on, throughout the years, more often as well. But it's sometimes just not possible. But I'm trying my best to do as much as I possibly can to make this the best it possibly can, on the budget that I have and on the technology that I'm subject to and a victim to often, like tonight. But yes, I will do my best to keep this the best it can be. So what keeps Idle Cannibal coming back? You always sound like you and your guests are enjoying yourselves. Always. The episodes are always informative and interesting, and I really appreciate that. Keep up the good work, and warmest congratulations on your 100th episode. So thank you very much for that. Lovely, lovely compliments. Right, that's the end of all the comments and questions. That's all the people that got back to me, but I'm glad no more got back to me, or we'd be doing this all. I did ask a good big chunk of my friends to kind of get back and just say something, but they weren't able to. But that's fine. Again, I've got too much already. I've asked for too much, clearly. But this has all been great. Thank you so much for taking the time to message and to give your opinions and to answer those questions. It's been amazing. Again, really touched, really, really appreciate everything you guys have done. So I wanted to talk about, before we finish, I wanted to just talk about some of the stuff I'm thinking of doing in this year, hopefully, or possibly into 2022. So there's a couple of formats of the podcast I've not done yet that I've been planning to do. So one of them I like to call Wrong Direction. Now, this is a format where me and a guest or myself would look at a big name director, but we would look at one of their lesser known films. And then what we would do is we would ask, is it what happened here? And did the director go in the wrong direction? Was it maybe that they chose the wrong subject matter? Was it something, did they decide to direct a musical that's outside their wheelhouse or their set of skills? Did the director go in the wrong direction? And is that because this film, and is that why this film is less remembered or is slated as being bad? So I would like to do that, but it does take a little bit of research again to kind of familiarize yourself with the filmmaker and their work and their filming techniques and their kind of what they like, the kind of themes they like to tackle as well. But I think me and Andy will probably do the first one, because I think he's probably one of the best people to do that with. Possibly with Dan Keatis as well. So I'm looking to do that. I wanted to do it last year, but I never really found the time because of all those top fives got in the way. But yeah, I'm gonna try and do that this year at some point. Danny B
Sounds
movies.
great.
Danny B movies it's basically just me because I felt like I used the discussion, the Spider Nights, the discussion podcast. I muddied the kind of branding, I think, with that. So I basically just plopped that on whatever I wanted for a while. But I want that to just be kind of discussions like the Slasher one, like proper, just broad discussions about something, be it comics or films or what have you. So I'm going to keep that within the framework that we've made for that. Danny B movies is, years ago, my friends would be, the films I look at on the podcast are what I call Danny B movies, or what my friends would call Danny B movies, which are weird cult films usually. So this idea is that I would just introduce someone to what I call a Danny B film. So Caligula is going to be, or I also introduce myself to the films on occasion. So I'm going to introduce them to what I consider a Danny B film. So the first one's going to be Caligula with Dan Burgess, because he's also a Danny B. So I thought that'd be perfect. So the final one I've come up with kind of recently, I've renamed it, and it's called The Last Stop on the Hype Train. So it's basically, I feel that there's a lot of films that people are like constantly bang on about, and I believe they're overrated just because but I've never seen them. I consider them overrated, but I've never seen them. So things like Casino or The Godfather or any of the kind of Oscar-worthy stuff, people bang on about them so much, it just puts me off more and more. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have somebody bring a film to me that I haven't seen, and it's basically like Secret Defenders, but the opposite. So it's a popular film, and I go, is it overrated or was it worth watching? So it's kind of a spin, kind of a little spin on the Secret Defenders idea. But I think it's gonna be a little interesting. It's gonna be difficult to find films that I've not seen, I think, but I think a lot of those Oscar bait movies, as I would call them, would be a good way to go, like award-winning stuff. But are they good? They might be brilliant. I've just never seen them. Or are they supposed to be as heralded as they are? And I'll find out. Stuff like that. So like I said on Tony's podcast recently, I've not seen Godfather Part 2. Everyone says it's great. I've seen the first one, not seen the second one, but I've heard that's better. But again, it's just, Goodfellas, for example. I've not even seen It seems to be a lot of Italian gangster movies that I haven't seen. But again, like when I was younger, everyone banged on about how good Pacino was and De Niro was, and that put me off again. So I would prefer to watch films with Jack Nicholson or Dennis Hopper or, Lance Henriksen or, proper, Bruce Campbell. I'd rather see those actors that are, again, because that's my cult sensibility. I'd rather see those. So it's kind of again, me getting out of my comfort zone and trying some new stuff. So I'm hoping to do one of those as well, as I am the last stop on the hype train. That's
we get it.
I was gonna call it something else, but I was like, there's probably some copyright things that I probably should avoid with that title. So yeah, I was like, yeah, because it was the name of a song and it has hype in the title. I'm sure you can probably guess what it is. But yeah, I was kind of like, yeah, I'll rebrand that just a little bit. But I like the title and I'm sure it'll be fun. Yes, so I mentioned the YouTube mini reviews, possibly doing some YouTube stuff. Reaching out to more kind of famous people or creators, talking to them about their work, much like Tony does excellently. He reaches out to a lot of kind of comic book creators and he does that stuff. So I might try that and see what comes up, or maybe people that have worked on like lesser known Marvel properties or DC properties or something, or some more independent stuff that I quite like. Who knows? We'll see. But I will start making those kind of advancements. I'm going to try and have I've attempted to have a stronger social media presence as well. I'm trying to post several times a day and kind of do stuff and have lots of calls to action. And I want to kind of push the Patreon as well and see what I can do with that to give you guys more bang for your buck, so to speak. Because I don't think I've nailed. I don't think I'm giving you as much as I could be. I know there's certain people. I think most of the people on the Patreon are not really bothered about the bonuses and stuff like yourself. But I still want to do that. And speaking of bonuses, I bought you a little gift that I'd like to send your way, just to say thank you for coming on the show and for supporting me throughout. And again, doing this double header of a podcast. When I receive it in the post, I'll get it sent out to your recorded delivery and get that out to you. Just send me your address and I'll send that out to you. Sure. But it was just a way to say thank you for all that you've done, constant promoting, constant comments. You've always got something to say, whatever it may be. You might not particularly like that film. You'll leave a comment, but I always appreciate what you've done and what you continue to do. And please don't go anywhere.
Well, now I've got my gift. You know what I mean? That's it. I'm off. Bye.
That's it.
No,
right, see you later.
No. It's a treat every Friday when the new episode drops.
Yeah. Again, when I was early on, I was just like, I'm going to edit this. I'm just going to release it now. But everything's kind of a bit more stable now. Release it on a Friday. Make sure it's always out on the Friday. Every couple of weeks, at least every couple of weeks, have at least one there for you. Unless it's a special month. I'm really looking forward to Samurai Month coming up. That's going to be a cool one. We've got some great stuff. You know what's coming, but if anybody else wants to know, they got to get on Patreon and find out.
They do. They've got to earn that right.
They have. And you guys as well. You guys have picked the theme month, the first theme month for next year, for 2022 as well. Which, from the looks of it, I'm leaving the poll up for a while. But from the looks of it, it may well be Wizard Month. So that'll be fun because I've not really tackled that many kind of fantasy films. So I thought that'd be a good topic. We've done sci-fi, done Western, doing all this stuff from Japan this year. So yeah, I think fantasy is the next step, the next extreme step. And then I'm not sure what maybe the second theme month would be. If you have any ideas, let me know because I'm well up for anything. Or again, I'll just give you the choice between two, and we'll see what happens.
Plenty of niche categories out there to select from.
You have no idea the amount I've come up with. Trust me, there's so many weird and wacky ones I could go deep diving into. I like the more general ones because it allows me to pick like a comic book around that genre as well. But I've got ones that are based more in comics and more in film. All sorts of stuff. But anyway, that is for the future. And so was this podcast. We are recording in March, but this will be released in May. So this is all far in the past now when people are hearing this, far in the distant past.
We may even be allowed out of our houses at that point. Who knows?
Oh my God, fingers crossed. Can you imagine? I could listen to this walking around again, finally. I could listen to all the podcasts walking about.
Garden.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah. Sunshine
and a pint in front of you.
Stop it. You're teasing me now. You're teasing me. It's not good. I can't. No. Stuck in this flat all by myself. But luckily I have people like you to talk to reach out to. But yeah, that's it. That is, I think we are done. I think you pulled double duty tonight. So I really do appreciate it. Really, thank you.
Time has played. It's been great.
It has been a great laugh. It's actually been great getting to know you and talking to you, face to face. I feel like I know you all the better. And the kind of the reason we're recording this in March was because I'm going to be on your podcast very shortly at the end of March. And I love Tony. I love your podcast. I love you. But because this is the 100th episode and I do have a specific time frame in mind, I didn't want it to clash with Samurai Month. I decided to do it now rather than later because I felt that if I did record with you and then recorded this later, I don't think it would have been as genuinely as nice or as unique as this has been, because this has been really special. I hope loads of the other people appreciate how special this has been, but because it's been genuinely a treat, and I can't wait to be on. I mean, that podcast is going to be out way before this, so
yeah,
So technically, it's kind of it's probably it's all reverse, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, but it's all worked out for the best. So this has been fantastic. Where can people find you and your podcast on the interwebs, on the social media? Where can they find you to follow it, subscribe to it, and follow you on the social media?
Yeah, I'm most active, like yourself, on Twitter. So in terms of communication in that way, I am JACS Musings. It's JACS. I do post under the same name on WordPress, and that's what you referred to very kindly earlier with my random thoughts, which can range from a single line, as it has done recently, to a bit more of an emotional outburst, as I refer to with Mandalorian. But it's same as yourself, really. It's completely random. It's what I've been drawn to that day to watch, read, or experience. And then, the podcast now, the newest venture, is part of the Comics in Motion network. I'm not very good at this stuff. They're on all good podcast catchers, I think I've heard other people say before.
Yeah, you can.
They are everywhere. Yeah. But they're a nice bunch of guys, and there's loads of good shows on there. Like I say, their mission statement is to release something every day. And there's something for everybody, which hopefully Season's Greeting is something new, which will start catching on a little bit as we continue to go and get a bit better with it, and we start to have some lovely guests on ourselves.
Yes, I'll do the best I can with that, because again, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I love being guests on other people's podcasts as well. I think my two best guest spots, if you call them that, was with Tony and with Max. The Life and Death of Captain Marvel and Severed, that we covered recently in his Indie Comics Spotlight. I think they brought out the best of me as a guest. And I had a great time just chatting. And again, like this, you just start talking, it's natural, it's fun, and then you're like, oh my god, we talked for 2 or 3 hours, what's going on? However long it takes. But again, get somebody who's passionate about something, and that's half your job, I think, as a podcaster, in this type of podcast anyway, the type of ones that we do. And I thought you did very well with your very difficult task of defending Blade Trinity. I took one on there, didn't I? But it was valiant. It was a valiant quest, I think, because it reminded me when I was listening to it. I posted about it, I retweeted your podcast, and I said it reminded me when I was on Nerdify, and we did what we called a nerd debate. So we take two. Compare them, and it's like they do with the comic movies on trial that you were on, just the same. But it was Buffy, which Josh had, who he is a big fan of, and I had Blade, and it's no contest to compare those two. Like Buffy won. Like I'm sure every category Buffy won. Like Blade is great, but it's not going to work. And I think it was the same. Yeah, exactly. Like Buffy is a cultural phenomenon and changed everything. TV, you name it. But yeah. Anyway, for me, you can find me at Secret Balls on Facebook. It's at Dan_balls on Twitter, and it's Spider Dan Secret Balls on Instagram. And don't forget to use the hashtag #PrepareForPrattle. And for everything else you need to know about the podcast, swing over to SpiderDan and thesecretballs.com on the World Wide Web to email me, read reviews, and learn how you can support the podcast. Speaking of supporting the podcast, I'd like to thank my patrons on Patreon, including I Am JACS Musings, Paul Meller, Max Byrne, Tony Farina, and Scott Hodgson. All we've already mentioned and are amazing guys. And thank you for, you're going to be on if you've not been on the podcast already, you're coming on it this year. Promise, all of you. JACS is here. Scott's coming up very soon. I've got Max has been on it. Tony's coming up as well. Paul Meller is going to come on very soon as well. I think we'll probably do that with Dennis as well. But we have ideas. The wheels are beginning to turn. So thank you again for continuing your donations. It's very much appreciated, and it helps keep PrattleWorld turning. And thank you guys for joining us for our 100th episode. Who knew, eh? Just who knew? Mm-hmm. And thank you for your continued support. Thank you for listening. Continue to do all the good things. And I'll give as much love as I can back. And again, I've said it about a million times, but thank you to everybody involved, guests and listeners. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are amazing and make my day all the easier. Make getting out of bed all the easier, because I know I've got to deliver stuff to you that you guys will love. So again, brilliant. And this is us signing off. We're done. Jack, again, thank you. This has been great. I know, it's probably past your bedtime now, I'm sure.
Squeezing a Buffy, don't worry.
Oh, absolutely. Squeeze in one. Yes. So that's everything. So goodbye, guys. And again, you've been great. JACS has been amazing. And I've been pretty spectacular, amazing. All of the good all the good adjectives that I use for myself. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Take care.